graduated from a teaching college and swore off the profession entirely. I took the civil service exam instead and landed a steady government job. On my first day, I stepped through the office door and the world folded out from under me. When I finished sorting through the memories of the body I now inhabit, I can only sit in silence. Fate has cornered me with remarkable thoroughness. My old classmates called me teacher because I tutored half the arts class in high school. My university roommates called me teacher because I tutored them too. Now, having dodged the entire teaching career to become a government official, I have still ended up as a teacher. My new post is at the Ninja Academy of Keita. My body is named Kazami Mugetsu, but the name I think of first is still Tsukishi, the one from my past life. I glance around the office and find it eerily familiar. There are pencil cups, lesson plans, rice paper, and the usual bureaucratic clutter. The only odd note is the kunai resting carelessly on a nearby desk. It politely reminds me that the students here will one day carry the things to kill each other. The worst part is not the transmigration itself. My new body is an orphan raised by Shadow Branch since childhood. This teaching post was given to me by Ganzo so I could observe the students and sniff out geniuses. The so-called pot shogun has his hand around my throat from day one. While I am still untangling how to survive in a place this lethal, a flat mechanical voice stirs in my head. A transparent blue panel unfurls in front of my eyes. The teacher system has activated. I have successfully become a teacher. Rewards can be earned by lecturing students, and the more outstanding the students, the richer the rewards. I can also take on outstanding students as disciples for one-on-one instruction. The teacher receives rewards as the disciple grows in strength. One small caveat: apprenticeship requires mutual recognition and cannot be imposed one-sidedly. I open the personal template and read my stats. Kazami Mugetsu, age 18, 4,300 chakra. My skills include the 3-body technique, fire release great fireball technique, fire release phoenix sage fire technique, flash step technique, and Keita style taijutsu. The evaluation calls me an elite among chunin, but merely high-quality cannon fodder in war. That last line stabs at me, so I close the template. The master-disciple menu is still blank. I need disciples badly, and soon. When the school bell rings, I remember I am teaching first period and tuck my papers under my arm. I have somehow been handed a freshman homeroom despite being brand new. The class list reads like a cheat sheet. Midatai Aiko, Haginoa Koda, and Kamazuka Izuo, the future gatekeepers of Keita, are all on it. When I spot Kagamiya Shinji's name, my eyes light up on their own. A disciple who will one day cast Spirit Titan with a single eye is exactly the goldmine I need. I fix a sunwarm teacher's smile on my face before stepping inside. The noisy room of 5- and 6-year-olds falls into wary silence at a grown ninja's arrival. The seats are tiered upward in rows so even the back row can see. One little girl in the front row breaks the hush. She has a purple ponytail and no hesitation. She asks brightly if the handsome big brother is really going to be their teacher. I smile and confirm that yes, I will be their homeroom teacher from today. She breaks into a proud little hee-hee and decides on the spot that I must be a good person. The other children relax at that. I chalk my full name on the board, introduce myself as Kazami Mugetsu, and say I look forward to working with them. Aiko responds first and leads the class into a wave of introductions. Shinji politely joins in. I quietly ping the system, hoping that having a classroom full of children call me teacher will be enough to register Shinji as a disciple. It stays stubbornly silent. So much for exploiting the bug. I swallow my disappointment and press on. I ask the class who knows how Keita came to be. The room fills with the uncomfortable silence of children who do not want to be wrong. Shinji holds his answer back because he does not like to stand out. Finally, Aiko thinks for a moment and says that people built it. I tell her she is not wrong, just incomplete, and slide from her answer into the Warring States period. I describe how children as young as them used to be handed weapons. I describe how the Shojin and Kagamiya finally stepped forward and founded Keita together so the next generation would not have to fight. I close with the old line about leaves dancing and fire's shadow illuminating the village. I speak with deliberate solemnity about the ancestors' selfless devotion and frame it as the will of flame. The kid's eyes go wide with inspiration. Shinji in particular notices something. A quiet, thoughtful flicker crosses his face. He is a Kagamiya, and he did not miss that I gave his clan equal billing with the Shojin. I drift from there into a question about chakra natures. A bright student answers 5. I gently correct him with 7, adding yin and yang to the 5 basic transformations. That wrong then right rhythm drives the point into memory better than a simple recital ever could. 4 periods slide by almost before anyone notices. When I announce that tomorrow we will talk about refining chakra, the class is stunned that the day is already over. Aiko cannot wait for tomorrow. Koda mutters to Izuo that his cousin clearly lied about school being unbearable. Izuo calmly suggests that Koda could just blackmail the cousin for snacks instead. Koda declares Izuo a genius and promises him half the spoils. As I step toward the door, the system chimes in with its verdict. Lecture complete, evaluation A. It praises me for using ancestor stories to awaken the student's sense of responsibility, with high student satisfaction. Rewards are being calculated. Shinji, watching, quietly stands and follows me out. 3 rewards land in quick succession. I gain perception ninjutsu, appraisal technique, and fire release chakra nature transformation mastery. The last one floods my head with the memories of an old ninja who spent a whole career chasing fire. They are so vivid I half feel like him. Shinji catches me before I can sit down. He asks respectfully if he can have a moment. I lead him to the empty back of the teaching building and sweep the area with my new perception ninjutsu. Only after confirming no strong chakra signatures are nearby do I turn and ask if something from class confused him. He shakes his head and asks the question he has clearly been carrying. If the Shojin and Kagamiya jointly founded Keita, why do people only remember the Shojin? Why do villagers on the street look at the crest on his back with something close to dislike? I think privately that comparing Hashiro's reputation with Moreo's is its own answer. I cannot say that aloud. I ask if he has only read the Kagamiya's side of the history. He nods. I sigh that it is a long story, not suited to a quick hallway conversation. Just as he starts to politely withdraw, I add that if he has time after school, he can come find me and I will tell him the history properly. After all, I say I owe his clan a debt of gratitude. His eyes widen. I explain that my parents were saved in a war by a ninja named Kagamiya Kaichi. They eventually died in a later war, but I have never forgotten the kindness. Shinji's face blooms with astonishment. Kaichi was his grandfather. He is not the type to demand payment of a favor, but he thanks me quietly and accepts the invitation. Before he leaves, I run appraisal on him. Kagamiya Shinji, 500 chakra, potential SS mast, Sage Path bloodline, suited to fire release and genjutsu. Discipleship recommended. I walk back to the office reflecting that a 6-year-old with 2 sparkling S's really is a walking goldmine. When I open my own panel again, the evaluation has shifted. I am proficient in fire release nature transformation and would be an elite among Jonin if I could fix my chakra shortfall. Mastery is stronger than I assumed. It is not just Jonin level fire knowledge, but something close to the 3rd Shogun's command of the element. My delight at the jump is quickly undercut. I remember the Shadow Branch curse mark on my tongue, and Ganzo's fondness for throwing his subordinates into their graves. I tell myself I need disciples fast. Enough disciples and enough feedback to reach a level where, if I cannot simply kill Ganzo and walk away, I can at least keep myself alive. In the office, I find 3 other teachers complaining about their students, 2 men and 1 woman. I run appraisal on each of them quietly. Aikia Yu, the homeroom teacher of Class 2, Grade 4, comes back as a Chunin Cannon-Fodder with a C potential. The other 2 are much the same. Aikia Yu is griping that he has been saddled with Maeda Goro and Kagamiya Orito, 2 dead last students. His family has also booked him a blind date tomorrow afternoon, exactly when Class 2 Grade 4 needs him. Uda Aya, the friendly female teacher, says the blind date is more important. She suggests he find a substitute or simply take the day off. Before anyone else can answer, I offer that I have no class tomorrow afternoon and would be happy to cover for him. Inwardly, I am thrilled. This is a free chance to get eyes on Orito and Maeda Goro. Uda Aya notices me entering and asks how my first class went. She asks whether her little tip about silently chanting all our radishes and cabbages was useful. I tell her in mock seriousness that my students advised me afterward not to be picky eaters. She laughs and decides my first day must have gone very well indeed. Meanwhile, in the Shogun office, the 3rd Shogun is watching me in a crystal ball as I lecture about the Will of Flame. He strokes his goatee. He decides that this young Shadow Branch ninja is not so bad, someone with a proper understanding of what Keita stands for. He has long known that Ganzo keeps ninja trained off Shadow Branch's official roster. He tolerates it so long as it does not become excessive. The Ninja Academy, though, is something he watches personally. The unexpected thing is that this particular Shadow Branch man spent his very first class on the Will of Flame, and on stirring responsibility in the children. He decides to watch my future performance. If I prove to be a talent, he will consider pulling me out of Shadow Branch himself. For now, he needs to weigh his old classmates' feelings before making any demands. He turns his Farside Jutsu off and returns to paperwork. He plans another quiet round of the village in the evening. After dinner, Shinji makes his way toward the sparsely built southeastern district where I live. He finds the simple single-story wooden house in its modest yard easily. As he steps through the gate, he comes upon a scene that stops him mid-breath. Back in my own courtyard, I have just finished checking in the bathroom mirror. The tongue-cutting seal is indeed inked on my tongue. It is a Shadow Branch member's mandatory accessory. It paralyzes the wearer if they speak certain forbidden things. Captured or defected Shadow Branch ninja cannot reveal secrets. The darker worry is that Ganzo may be able to trigger it actively. That would mean a fatal leash wrapped around my neck. I search my memory for any precedent in the original story for breaking the seal. There is only one consistent answer. It unwinds when Gonzo dies. But Gonzo is not a careless MOBA glass cannon. He hides in the Shadow Branch base. He guards his life obsessively. He may even have something like a revival coin on him. I weigh my current strength and set killing him aside for later. My real options are Oromaru, who cannot be approached yet, or independent research. Practically then, research. A spike of sense chakra tells me Shinji is approaching the yard. I step outside and wait. As he walks in, I snap off a full-strength fire release. Great fireball technique. It incinerates my training dummy and scorches a wide patch of ground. The fireball is 8 meters across. Shinji stops dead in astonishment. He has seen Kagamiya Jonin use that same C-rank ninjutsu. He knows the difference between what they produce and what I have just produced. He apologizes for interrupting my training. I wave it off and invite him in. His shock is exactly the foundation I wanted laid. Inside, over 2 cups of water, I take the opportunity to tell him the real arc of Kagamiya history. I explain how Mareo's defection would have ended Keita if Hashira had not been strong enough. I tell him how Tobira, already wary of the Kagamiya, wrote policies specifically to keep them in check. The hawks among the Kagamiya chafed, schemed to take power, and were caught and imprisoned by Shadow Corps. The whole cascade slowly overwrote the clan's earlier contributions in the villagers' memory. Shinji falls silent, taking it in. I steer the conversation toward his grandfather. I call Kagamiya Kaichi a Kagamiya who carried the will of flame. I say he was a bridge between the clan and Keita, softening the conflict between the two sides. Shinji has only ever heard his grandfather described as strong, as a genius. Quietly and without flourish, he tells me that he wants to become a Kagamiya like that himself. In the same breath, he slips and calls Kaichi grandfather, and only then realizes the slip. He tells me, a little flushed, not to dwell on repaying the kindness. He suggests I simply visit his grandfather's grave sometime. I use the opening. I ask him whether he is willing to become my disciple. I frame it as the only way I can adequately repay a debt owed to his family. He worries the bargain is too unbalanced for me. He worries for a kind teacher who repays kindness. He also feels, though, that studying under a knowledgeable and powerful teacher is a genuinely good idea. After a long moment, he nods and calls me Tsukishi-sensei. A system prompt asks if I want to establish a master-disciple relationship with Kagamiya Shinji. I say yes without hesitation. The notice that follows tells me the trust level begins at 2. I have unlocked disciple training feedback and disciple gifting return. The first means his growth feeds back into mine at a rate amplified by trust level. At level 2, a point of chakra for Shinji is 2 points for me. The second means daily gifts roll a random reward. Better rewards at higher trust. Once per day. I immediately hand him the Fire Release Nature Transformation training booklet I wrote up that afternoon. I tell him seriously that I will check his progress and will not relax my standards, just because this is a debt of gratitude. He bows in thanks and leaves, clutching the booklet. The system rings with a critical hit reward. Fire Release. Great Dragon Fire Technique. Proficient level. 1,000 hours of training memories slam into my head at once. It is a flexible B-rank fire technique. The hand seals can eventually be simplified to 1. Multiple dragons can be released at once. Looking at his retreating back, I stop seeing a boy and start seeing an inexhaustible mine that drops gold coins daily. I offer to walk him home, but he refuses politely. He says his uncle visits him often and he is used to being alone. I do not push. There will be many more chances to raise his trust from here. The next morning, Aikiyu is still spiraling over his blind date. I head into my own class. Koda and Izuo are brainstorming the latest iteration of Koda's cousin war. Izuo's new plan is to wreck the cousin's room under the guise of childish play, so the cousin gets scolded for not cleaning up. Koda declares that with Izuo at his side, he will be as invincible as Hashira with Tobira. I step up to the podium and lecture on chakra, the fusion of physical and spiritual energy. I release chakra from my hands so the class can feel it, and scatter jokes and short stories to keep the room awake. Near the end of class, I run appraisal on the whole room just to see what I am working with. Aiko comes back at potential A. Koda and Izuo each come back at B-, and one more student I do not know is also B-. Shinji is in a class of his own. Everyone else is spread through C and D. Shinji's numbers look even more outrageous against the rest. Aiko's A surprises me more than expected, given how middling she looked in the original story. She is cute, and her potential is genuinely strong. But I only have 4 disciple slots. 1 is spent on Shinji. 3 more cannot be burned on anyone I do not need. Not with Ganzo breathing down my neck. Cute does not get me out of Shadow Branch. The system settles my class at A, and rewards me with the multiple Shadow Clone Jutsu. It is a famously versatile ninjutsu from start to finish of the series. Unfortunately, my current chakra pool makes it useless in practice. At lunch in the office, the other teachers are actively brainstorming for Aikiyu. A tall, thin teacher named Kimura Sugito reminds him to dress neatly and not look sloppy. Aikiyu swears he knows that much. Uda Aya sighs that the real risk is that he will brag through the entire conversation. Aikiyu swells up and tells her to just wait and see. She notices me entering and compliments my Class 1 Grade 1. She says the atmosphere felt good when she glanced in. I thank her with the modesty she expects and credit her useful tips and well-behaved students. She smiles and shares some snacks with me. That stings, IKEA you. He has eaten almost none of her snacks in 2 years as her colleague. After a few minutes of chat, I take out brush and ink and spend the rest of lunch practicing calligraphy. I picked it up in college in my past life and kept it as one of my few good habits. When the afternoon bell nears, I gather my things and walk to class 2, grade 4. When I enter, a student points out that the substitution was supposed to be IKEA-sensei's history class. I have just finished explaining when Orito bursts in panting, hands on knees. He apologizes that he was late because he had been helping an old woman on the road. I nod him into his seat and sweep appraisal over the room. Nono Ren returns at 300 chakra and B+ potential. Maeda Goro returns at 600 chakra, S potential suited for taijutsu, discipleship recommended. Kagamiya Orito returns at 650 chakra, S potential, with a Sage Path bloodline space-time talent and a discipleship recommendation. The rest of the class scales about the same as mine. Kagamiya Takito is at A level. The others are mostly C and D. I teach in the same warm story-threaded style as before. Orito, used to droning textbook readings, blurts that I teach much better than his other teachers. He adds that if I taught him all the time, he would surely pass. I smile and tell him I will be forced to mention his lateness to IKEA-sensei. He panics into polite begging, which gets the class laughing. At the long break, I use perception ninjutsu to sweep the grounds for prying chakra signatures. There are none. I call Maeda Goro and Orito out into the corridor. Orito is still pleading with me not to tell IKEA-sensei about his tardiness. He does not quite know how to read me. I tell him that depends on his performance and leave it ambiguous. Maeda Goro scratches his head and asks why he has been called out, since he has done nothing wrong. I look at the boy who will one day nearly kick an ending into existence. This is the boy Moreo himself will later call the strongest taijutsu user. Right now he is only a green kid in a green jumpsuit. He has not yet understood what his father means by youth and self-discipline. I open with a problem. Their theoretical grades give IKEA-sense constant headaches. Orito lowers his head and protests. The problems just do not make sense. He cannot see the point of animal word problems, or of memorizing history when history is all in the past. Maeda Goro nods in agreement that he cannot retain history either. I tell them gravely that they will have to take that complaint up with the third shogun, since he is principal. Then, I say their current trajectory is bad for themselves and for IKEA-sensei. Orito's eyes light up at the word secret. I reveal that my secret to passing exams is in fact doing practice problems while actually studying. This is technically a secret to children who have never tried either. I sweeten the bait. If they pass the exam 1 month from now, I will reward them with ninjutsu or taijutsu guidance. Personally, Maeda Goro instantly declares this is what youth must feel like, and that he is fired up. Orito promises to pass this time. As I walk them back to the classroom, I reflect contentedly. Advanced hunters always appear as prey. Whether they pass or not, I have positioned myself to become their teacher through the process of special training. If they fail, I can still gift the training and the goodwill under a face-saving line about their hard work. I do not trick them into formal discipleship yet. The background debt that worked with Shinji does not apply here. I also only teach this class occasionally, which makes long-term contact hard to sustain. When we return, Ren asks with concern whether Orito was punished. He immediately defends me. Tsukishi-sensei is so good, he says, that he just taught him the secret to passing. He even tells her she had better listen carefully in class, so he does not surpass her on the next exam. She laughs helplessly that it would be wonderful if he actually could. For a full 3 minutes, Orito is the most serious student in the room. He is bent over a notebook trying to decide which ninjutsu he will learn first. Then he slumps face down on his desk. Ren sighs that he is still the Orito she knows. A piece of chalk arcs beautifully across the classroom and taps him on the head. He jolts up, takes in my harmonious smile, sees Maeda Goro writing earnestly, and flushes back into wakefulness. The system closes the session with an A. The reward is Keita Whirlwind, a taijutsu that will one day belong to Maeda Goro. It is a single whirlwind kick that looks simple and is not. The kicking posture, the muscle burst, and the chakra burst all need to come together correctly. I had been quietly worrying about what I would actually teach Goro later on. This solves the problem neatly. After school, I wandered the southern forest of Keita looking for a secluded training spot. Ganzo knows exactly where I live. With his particular hatred for the Kagamiya, if he learned I was teaching Shinji ninjutsu at home without reporting it, he would assume betrayal. Sensing ninjutsu exists, but I cannot keep it running constantly without burning chakra I do not have. I plan instead to take Shinji out of the city for his training. I find a pleasant, isolated stretch beside a small river. I note the location carefully and walk home. My caution turns out to be well-founded. When I step into my courtyard, I find a ninja in an animal mask already standing inside. He hands me a scroll and explains that Lord Ganzo has issued new instructions. Knight, he calls me, my code name in Shadow Branch. He does not linger. Being seen too often near me would draw Shadow Core's attention. I am a hidden piece on Ganzo's board. As he leaves, I appraise him. Hirata Iro, 7,000 chakra, B potential, a Jonin with some real strength. I allow myself a moment of envy. A hidden piece already has 5 more Shinji-sized reservoirs of chakra than I do. Once my sensing confirms he is gone, I step inside and open the scroll. Kagamiya Shinji in my class is a genius of the Kagamiya clan. I am to observe him, confirm his character, and evaluate him. Gonzo's paranoia about the Kagamiya has crossed into pathology. Shinji is 6 years old. He has only just started at the academy, simply because he has a whisper of genius around him in his clan. Gonzo wants to size him up, maybe even pull him into Shadow Branch. I doubt the third shogun would let that happen. A genius Kagamiya either stays obediently inside the clan, or joins Shadow Corps. This instruction is at least within my limits. Even without Gonzo prompting me, I would have reported Shinji's talent during my own reporting cycle. Concealment, when Gonzo has already fixed his eyes on the Kagamiya, would only draw suspicion onto me. I burn the scroll with fire release. I create a shadow clone to practice ninjutsu on my behalf. My main body settles into chakra refining training. No matter how many techniques I hoard, without chakra behind them, the ceiling stays low. Chakra sets both the ceiling and the floor of a ninja's strength. The next morning, I have no classes. I slip into the academy's archives and pull the 4th grade exam papers from recent years. While I am there, I grab the 1st grade papers too. My goals are recruiting disciples and also delivering honestly on my promise to raise their scores. Studying the years side by side, I find exactly what I hoped. The question banks recycle heavily. The wording shifts and the numbers rotate, and whole questions repeat verbatim in some years. I will not even need to push Goro and Arito into rigorous drilling. 2 years of past papers should be enough to pass them. I gather a stack and walk into the office, straight into an ongoing argument between Ikea Yu and Ueda Aya about the blind date. Ikea Yu insists she listened to him the whole time, so she is clearly interested. She offered to split the bill, so she is already thinking of him. Ueda Aya keeps volleying back cruelly plausible alternatives. She did not want to talk, so she was glad he did all the talking. She split the bill so she would not have to let him use the next time is on me line to book a second date. Kimura Sugito watches the bloodbath with amused detachment and brings me up to speed. Ikea Yu turns to me. He hopes I have special techniques for pursuing women. I think for a second and offer that as long as you let the other person feel your sincerity, that should do it. It is deliberately useless, but on brand for the kind teacher persona I am building. Ueda Aya tells him to give up, because his face is not my face and what works for me will not work for him. Ikea Yu protests that the difference is not that large. She sighs that he will not believe it until he hits a wall. I give him an encouraging smile. Privately, I hope he will remain busy with this blind date project. Every time he is busy, I get to substitute teach in Class 2, Grade 4. During the afternoon class, I run a small experiment. I deliberately drop my lecture quality a notch. My earlier analysis of the system suggests that evaluation splits across content quality and student satisfaction. The first A rewarded me with an extra first-time bonus, so I suspect the first B should do the same. The lecture closes at B as planned. I receive 20 chakra. Then, because it is my first B, I also receive proficient chakra form transformation. It is a whole new branch of chakra manipulation, on par with nature transformation. It has no attribute limits. It is the same family as Naruto's future Spiral Orb. Spiral Orb is the representative ninjutsu of form transformation. It does not even require nature transformation to be powerful. I can start developing it myself with what I remember from the original story. The 20 chakra per B gives me a reason to occasionally aim for B rank evaluations going forward. A single hit is small, but accumulation is the whole point. My days now stack neatly. Lectures during the day, Shinji in the evenings, cultivation and ninjutsu development at night, Goro and Ordo special training on weekends. I would be very pleased to live this rhythm for several years. Unfortunately, I have not transmigrated into a quiet era. On the 4th day of my life in this world, bad news comes back from the front lines. Frontline skirmishes have escalated into true conflict. Raigakure has deployed ninja into the Land of Geysers on the border of the Land of Flame. There are rumors the 8-tailed host has appeared. Hearing this, I know the Third Ninja World War is close, or has already begun in quiet. As a Shadow Branch ninja, my original body knew more than ordinary ninja. Since Silverfang's suicide last year, the ninja world has been full of undercurrents. Raigakure, Ganseki, and Sabakuno are all stirring. Watching the series, I had assumed Silverfang was just another famous powerhouse. The original host's memories made me see him differently. He was famous for killing, for the sheer efficiency of killing. With a short chakra sword in hand, he became a mowing machine on any battlefield. Anyone weaker than him died instantly in a single flash of white light. It was not that he was the strongest in the world, it was that his style bullied the weak so perfectly that no one weaker could survive him. Now that Kaeda has lost him, Raigakuri and Ganseki in particular have decided they can make a run at the number 1 spot. They took few losses in the second war and feel strong enough to challenge it. Ueda Aya sighs that the Raigakura ninja cannot seem to sit still. Ikea Yu growls that if Silver Fang were still alive, they would not dare. Kimura Sugito tries to lighten the mood. Kaeda still has the 3rd shogun in Oromaru, he points out, and they will surely lead another victory. I ask the question I actually care about. If war breaks out, will academy teachers receive combat missions? Ueda Aya answers that it depends on the intensity. If things get bad enough, teachers are assigned by specialty. I silently pray to whatever gods might be listening that I will either not be chosen or be chosen late. The Third Ninja World War is exceptionally fierce. Kaeda fights against all 4 great villages at once. Beyond that, Moreo and Black Wraith are quietly pulling strings behind the scenes. I am not afraid of the battlefield. I am afraid of being marched onto it before I am ready. Kimura Sugito insists Kaeda is number 1 and would never need to send academy teachers into battle. I smile and say I was only asking so I could be prepared. I certainly cannot say out loud that I would rather not go at all. I practice calligraphy until the bell and walk into class 1, grade 1. The shadow of war has not yet reached the children. The room is bright and noisy. 2 days have passed since Koda tried Izio's room-wrecking plan. He grimly reports that his cousin retaliated with the exact same method. They scolded and hit each other back and forth. Finally, they had to declare a truce and label the whole idea a forbidden ninjutsu. Izio laments that the cousin is truly cunning and says he has no more ideas. Koda offers to return the favor. He asks Izio about his own troubles. Izio admits, a little shyly, that he likes a neighbor girl but does not know how to get close to her. Koda's suggestion is to give her something she likes. Izio recalls that she often looks at his family's flower garden when she passes. He notes her family does not grow any. He concludes she must love flowers. Koda declares the gift confidently. Flowers. I cough twice and call class. The room quiets. I deliver my lecture with the warmth the class has come to expect in only 4 days. The system closes with an A. The reward is water release. Water formation wall. It is a B-rank water release that raises a wall of water. Tober's version famously drew a circle of water around himself for full 360 protection. As the knowledge unpacks in my mind, I realize with pleasant surprise that the system has quietly handed me water release chakra nature transformation as well. Without it, I could not use water release at all. I give the thoughtful system a silent thumbs up. After school, I take Shinji to the river spot I scouted. I outline our training plan and tell him today I will teach him a new fire release. I clap my hands once and spit out 3 giant fire dragons. They circle in the sky before plunging into the river, hissing up clouds of white steam. Shinji recognizes the technique instantly as Great Dragon Fire. He has seen a Kagamiya Jonin use it. That only makes him more astonished. I release 3 dragons from a single hand seal. I watch his curiosity sharpen and tell him to watch again, this time slow and deliberate. The next day I continue the lesson. I break down the mechanic in plain terms. The difficulty of the ninjutsu is compressing a very large amount of chakra into the shape of a dragon instantaneously, with my proficient chakra nature transformation operations at the same time. Shinji nods. He flies through the hand signs, compresses and shapes his chakra, and opens his mouth. A 1-meter fire dragon shoots into the sky, spins, and dives into the water. I clap and tell him truthfully that I expected several tries. I underestimated his talent. He humbly credits my teaching rather than his own gift. He also volunteers that he did not need Crimson Mirror Eye to copy it. He cannot yet call it mastered, only usable. I demonstrate several more times at full mastery for him to study. The sun slips away almost without our noticing. As he packs up to go home, he wonders, half seriously, whether my gentle voice is some kind of ninjutsu that makes people lose track of time. I hand him a new booklet I have been writing, my recent nature transformation cultivation notes. He bows and takes it seriously. His respect for me deepens every day. I have spent only 4 days with him and have never held anything important back. The system rewards me with a critical hit. Wind style, pressure damage, proficient level. It is a top-tier wind release with great range and destructive power. It will combine beautifully with my fire release. The mastery comes bundled with wind release chakra nature transformation. That means I can now develop a wind-enhanced spiral orb into spiral shuriken, prioritizing it over the fire-enhanced version I had planned. A few days of experimentation have made the disciple return mechanic clear to me. The reward depends on 2 factors, the quality of the gift and the disciple's gratitude. Gratitude is weighted more heavily. On the second day I gave him homemade food and got 50 chakra back. Same category of gift, different heart behind it, different reward. Understanding this, I start planning how to set up a big drop. I will check Shinji's information at the academy tomorrow and find out his birthday. My 5th day in this world lands me 1 afternoon class I had already been assigned, plus a substitute for a 3rd grade teacher who needs to step out. I take it happily. One class yields 20 chakra. The other yields fire release great fireball technique. I already have it, but the system reveals a pleasant subtlety. Duplicate ninjutsu convert into additional cultivation experience for the one I already know. It is like a +1 enhancement in a game. Uda Aya warns me I am too easygoing. Other teachers will eat me alive with substitute requests if I do not push back. I smile and say we are all colleagues and should help each other. She does not know what to say. She feels a little dazed that such a teacher actually exists. Substituting brings no extra salary. It is essentially free labor. On the weekend, per our agreement, I bring Orito and Maeda Goro at 8 in the morning to the same river spot I use with Shinji. Their special training officially begins. Orito flops onto the desk I have set up and wails about waking early on a weekend. Goro scratches his head, unable to relate. I hand out the test papers I wrote myself, tailored to their 5 days of curriculum rather than last year's monthly exam. Shinji arrives soon after, curious to find Orito and Goro slumped over papers with tortured expressions. I explain that they are 4th graders I am tutoring and tell Shinji to go ahead and train as usual. His arrival is not a coincidence. I asked him to come last night on purpose. I decided it would be useful for older students to do boring test papers while their younger schoolmate practices ninjutsu in plain sight. Orito looks up from his exercises and freezes when he sees Shinji. He recognizes him at once. The Kagamiya clan lives together on the land Keita has set aside for them, so children of the same generation know each other, at least by reputation. A genius like Shinji shows up constantly in the mouths of elders as the example of someone else's child. Orito feels a small confusion as to why Shinji is here and why he seems so familiar with me. An unreliable guess forms in his head. Maybe I am a distant relative of Shinji's. While Orito is lost in thought, Maeda Goro suddenly shouts with full vigor that he is done. Orito stares at him, dumbfounded. He has not stopped writing for that long. Why is Goro already finished? He leans over to check. Goro has only done the first 3 multiple-choice questions. The rest are blank. Orito does not know what to say. The whole paper has only 10 questions, 4 multiple-choice and 6 open-ended. Even when Orito does not know an answer, he at least tries to fill the paper in to make it look better. I walk over and check Goro's answers. He has 2 wrong. Only the first question is correct. Goro looks at the 2 wrong answers out of the only 3 he attempted, and is at a loss for words. I smile comfortingly and tell him it is okay. If he knew everything already, he would not need me. I tell him not to feel bad about a low score. Think of it from another angle. He has a lot of room for improvement. Improving from 5 points to 25 is far easier than climbing from 80 to 100. Goro's body trembles. Beyond his father, this is the first encouragement he has ever received. His morale soars instantly. He tells me I am right. He has a lot of room for improvement. Goro listens very carefully to the explanations that follow, trying hard to understand even the difficult parts. Orito is next. He filled in 6 questions and got 2 correct. I treat him exactly the way I treated Goro. Comfort first, then explain the problems. When we are done, I take out 2 more similar papers and hand them over. Orito wails that there are still more. He cannot take his eyes off Shinji, who has started practicing fire release. Shinji's hand signs fly through the sequence. He exhales a 2-meter fireball that arcs toward the river. Orito stares at the enormous fireball filled with admiration. As expected of a famous genius in the clan, he knows the classic great fireball technique himself, as every Kagamiya does, but his own version looks like a pebble next to Shinji's. Goro does not know Shinji personally. He takes in the height and apparent age and realizes the boy is at most 6 or 7, yet is already using ninjutsu of this power. The thought that forms in his head is Kentaro. Kentaro, his rival, did not even finish the 2nd semester of school. He applied for early graduation and passed, which proved how much of a genius he was. Right now, Shinji feels to Goro like a Kentaro of the same age. Shinji moves on to fire release, great dragon fire technique. Goro's surprise deepens. He has practiced the 3-body technique for 3 years and still feels he has only barely learned it. Orito watches the dragons wheeling in the sky and cannot hide his envy. If he knew this technique, he could impress Ren. I walk up and praise Shinji. His form transformation has noticeably improved since yesterday, and the fire dragon is faster. He must have practiced after returning home. Shinji credits the booklet I gave him. I step in front of him, clap once, and exhale 3 giant fire dragons. Orito's mouth drops open. Shinji's fire dragon looked cool. Against my 3, his looks like a loach beside a snake. And the speed, it is as if I used no hand seals at all. The 3 dragons trail flame in the sky and arrange themselves into characters that read, "Stop looking, hurry up and do the questions." Orito reads the message in the sky and snaps his head back to find me watching him with a harmonious smile. He jolts, then explains he was only tired from the paper and taking a short look at the sky. Out of the corner of his eye, he sees Goro has already picked up his pen. He quickly does the same. After a while, he cannot help asking about my relationship with Shinji. I answer that we are teacher and disciple. He asks what else he could have thought. Orito decides not to mention his earlier unreliable guess. He follows up with the question, if he passes, can I teach him that ninjutsu I just used? I nod. His face lights up. He is already imagining how he will show off his new ninjutsu to Ren. Goro, meanwhile, is clearly watching something different. He has no interest in fire release. He only practices taijutsu. I do not speak, I just walk to a large tree. I gather chakra in my feet, tense my muscles, and kick out a whirlwind. There is a dry crack. The tree crashes down and throws up a cloud of dust. I retract my foot, brush off the dust, and ask Goro whether he likes this taijutsu. Goro's eyes light up instantly. It is as if he has encountered the ninjutsu of his dreams. It is simple, fast, powerful, and cool. He tells me with full vigor that he loves it and begs me to teach it when the time comes. I nod with a smile and tell him I will, as long as he likes it. His reaction is exactly what I expected. This taijutsu is, in the future, his own creation. He will eventually build a whole series of variants. Great whirlwind, strong whirlwind, and more. It would be strange if he did not like it. With my assurance, Orito and Goro are both delighted. Even the test papers look easier to them now. Orito rubs his hands together and declares that this time he will get more than 4 right. Goro declares he must get more than 3 right, or he will run 500 laps around Keita tonight. Goro even plans to find Kintaro for a spar once he learns the new taijutsu. The burst of enthusiasm fades almost as fast as it came. A few problems in, Orito learns a hard truth. He could unleash a larger fireball than usual if pushed to his limit. He could throw 5 shuriken into a bullseye in one go. On test questions though, being desperate does nothing. He props his head on one hand and twirls his pen. Even the leaves swaying in the wind look like they are mocking him. He glances at Goro. They have been classmates for 3 years and share Kintaro as a common friend, but they have never actually hung out. Their relationship is ordinary. Not strangers, but not friends either. When Orito thinks of Goro, his first reaction has always been dead last. Orito considers himself only weak in certain subjects. His ninjutsu and shuriken throwing are decent. His theory is the real problem. It only looks worse because other Kagamiya are too outstanding. Goro, though, is a recognized dead last in everything, theory and ninjutsu alike. And yet here, right now, Goro is showing more patience than him. Goro is still scratching his head and still pushing through. Orito remembers a declaration Goro made once when he was being mocked. I believe if I keep working hard, I will definitely become the strongest taijutsu ninja. Orito himself never joined the mockery, but when he heard those words he had been dismissive. He thinks now that his opinion may have been wrong. Whether Goro becomes the strongest or not is hard to say, but he will certainly be stronger than the people who mocked him. Becoming friends with him might not be a bad idea. They can team up against Kintaro. He starts writing furiously. I watch the two of them from the side and show a thoughtful expression. I had not expected this chemical reaction. Even the restless Orito has calmed down under Goro's influence. I note this for future use. Similar methods could motivate Orito's training. When they finish, I grade them. Orito gets 3 right, and Goro gets 2. Orito slumps on the desk. Goro adds 500 more laps to his training plan. I comfort them. They are only 5 questions away from passing, and improved by 1 question in just an hour. They brighten. Passing and ninjutsu are within reach. I take out 2 more test papers with a smile. Orito looks at the fresh papers and the 3 weekends remaining before the exam. His vision goes black. He picks up his pen anyway. Giving up now would waste every paper he has already done. Meanwhile, Shinji, having recovered his chakra, starts another round of fire release practice. Fire dragons soar through the sky. Orito's eyes keep drifting to them. Orito thinks for a while, then asks, after we learn your ninjutsu, will we also be considered your disciples, like Shinji? I answer ambiguously. If you wish to be, then yes. He grins. Since we will be disciples sooner or later, why not teach us now? I give him a suspicious look. This is the outcome of my careful planning, but Orito's reveal is a little too fast. He pats his chest and promises he is not trying to avoid studying. He just believes the two can happen simultaneously. He pulls Goro in. Goro nods. He agrees with Orito. I ask what happens if they do not pass. Orito says that whatever I decide, he will accept. Goro agrees. I feign conflicted hesitation. Orito pushes a little harder, begging me to trust him. I pretend to be persuaded. I tell them, once you finish this paper, I will teach you fire release, Great Dragon Fire Technique, and Keita Whirlwind. Orito exclaims that I am the best. Goro clenches his fist and says he will train diligently. 2 system prompts appear. Do I want to establish a master-disciple relationship with Maeda Goro? I look at the 2 windows with a contented smile. Yes, you 2 have just made a huge profit. Both relationships established successfully at trust level 2. I nod quietly. It was worth pretending to be prey to lure them in. I suspect trust level is difficult to grind. If either of them had started at 1, the early benefits would have been much smaller. A notice appears. 2 disciples with potential S or above have unlocked the skill teaching. Teaching is simple and brutal in effect. The knowledge I impart is absorbed more easily. It is a passive skill that can be toggled on and off. There is no downside, so I keep it on by default. I will only turn it off if Ganzo one day sees how well I teach and demands I come work at Shadow Branch. The one disappointment is that daily disciple return rewards are still capped at once per day, no matter how many disciples I take on. I'd imagine feeding all 3 and getting 3 rolls. But with 3 disciples I can at least rotate. Emotional thresholds rise under gradual stimulation, so cycling targets keeps the big rewards triggering. My panel updates as well. Kazami Mugetsu, 18, 4,405 chakra. Skills include Fire Release, Great Dragon Fire Technique, Water Release, Water Formation Wall, Wind Style, Pressure Damage, Teaching, and more. In 5 days I have added 105 chakra, 90 from classes and disciple returns, 15 from my own training and disciple feedback. Most of my rewards so far have been ninjutsu rather than pure chakra. If I focused entirely on chakra, I could gain at least 100 a week just from classes. For now though, A rank evaluations or a 50-50 split between A and B is the better play. System ninjutsu come ready for combat, with nature transformation bundled in if needed, and duplicate pulls increase experience. Working that out on my own would cost me months. Orito reports he is done. Goro reports the same. I create a shadow clone and send it to explain Kata Whirlwind to Goro and demonstrate. Since one is learning taijutsu and the other ninjutsu, I cannot teach them together. My main body teaches Orito first. My clone works with Goro, and after 30 minutes we swap. I am not going to play favorites. I want to share my warmth with every disciple. I teach with the same handheld, step-by-step care I gave Shinji. The system rewards me with a critical hit. Water Release. Water Dragon Bullet Technique, proficient level. I note with interest that teaching Shinji the same Great Dragon Fire earlier did not count as a disciple return reward. Probably because that technique originally came from Shinji in the first place. Rewards derived from the same disciple cannot be looped back into return rewards. I file that rule away. I privately hope this Water Dragon Bullet is not the 44 seal version from the original story. The system's proficient level keeps things sensible. I only need 6 hand seals, and with more practice, the chain will shrink further. After 30 minutes with Orito, I switch and start guiding Goro. The clone takes Orito. Between sessions, I also circulate to check on Shinji. At noon, I catch 4 fish from the river, light a fire, and roast them. 1 for each of us. Orito praises the grilled fish loudly and says I should open a barbecue shop. Shinji and Goro nod. I tell them to be careful of the bones. I have no real barbecue skill and rarely grill. The fish tastes good because the atmosphere is good. Shinji eats alone at home most nights. Orito eats with his grandmother. Goro eats with his father. None of them is used to outdoor meals with a group. Against that backdrop, ordinary grilled fish becomes delicious. After the meal, we rest for an hour and resume training. Orito looks at the chubby little Charmander he has just released and declares proudly that the ninjutsu is not that hard. This has gone more smoothly than his old Great Fireball training. Just then, Shinji exhales his own Charmander at the same time. Shinji's little fire dragon is ferocious, fanged, and imposing. Orito silently steers his Charmander to hide behind his back. Goro wipes sweat from his brow and happens to glance over. He walks up and comforts Orito, telling him the Charmander is small and cute and will grow strong one day. Orito takes the comfort and somehow feels a strange grievance. Grievance turns out to be fuel. He drops his plan to rest and hurls himself back into practicing Great Dragon Fire. Goro, not to be outdone, rests briefly and resumes as well. From the side, I almost cannot hold back a laugh. Those two together are genuinely something else. We train until dinner. I send each of them home and confirm tomorrow's training. Sunday goes the same way. The disciple return yields 50 chakra. A new week begins. In the morning, Kota finishes washing and eats breakfast in a rush. His mother asks, puzzled, why he is in such a hurry today. To go to school early and study, he says, without looking back. It is a perfunctory lie. Kota does not dislike school, but not every teacher is as lively as me. The real reason he is so eager is his friend Izuo, and whether Izuo has taken the first step in his romance. He gave Izuo the flower idea on Thursday. On Friday, Izuo said he was not brave enough and needed more time. Kota figures 2 weekend days should have been enough. The classroom is mostly empty when Kota arrives. 7 or 8 minutes later, Izuo drags himself in, listless. Kota asks if he slept badly. Izuo shakes his head. Did he give her the flowers over the weekend? Izuo's face only grows more dejected. She was not looking at the flower garden because she likes flowers. She has pollen allergies and was worried the pollen would blow over. Kota goes quiet. So, did you give her the flowers? Izuo's silence and resentful expression answer for him. Kota pats his shoulder and offers a consolation. He remembers a cute girl who plays with Miho, and they could all hang out sometime. Izuo instantly brightens and calls Kota brother Kota. Kota follows up that over the weekend he thought of another brilliant plan to deal with his cousin. Izuo perks up further. My voice cuts through. Class begin. They realize the bell has already rung. They were so absorbed in the conversation they missed it. They sit up straight and listen. After 2 days without my class, they actually missed it. I do not disappoint. The lesson is relaxed and enjoyable, and a lot of knowledge slips into their minds imperceptibly. The system closes at A. The reward is water release. Water severing wave. My eyes light up. This is no ordinary ninjutsu. It is a water release developed by the second shogun. It ejects a super high pressure linear water jet with astonishing power, strong enough to sever the roots of the world tree. My mood is excellent. Then another good thing happens almost immediately. In the office, Ikea Yu walks over and hopefully asks if I can substitute for him again. He has a ninjutsu class for class 2 grade 4 this afternoon. I maintain my persona and ask with concern whether he is feeling unwell. He is fine. It is about the blind date. He has made plans to go shopping with her this afternoon. Ueda Aya grumbles at him about picking a day with the class. He says she told him she was only free this afternoon. He adds that he would never willingly trouble me. I am too kind and he feels bad when I take a loss. Ueda Aya stops arguing. She genuinely believes this blind date will not end well. If the girl were truly interested, she would not keep making Ikea Yu trouble his colleagues. I smile and wish him good luck and tell him it is good to be busy, because I get more rewards. He thanks me and promises to treat me to the most expensive restaurant in Keita if things work out. Then he dashes off to go home and change. Ueda Aya sighs that if I keep this up, people will always ask me to substitute. I smile that it is a joy to help others and that colleagues should help each other. She lets it go. She watches me practice calligraphy in earnest silence and quietly reflects how vast the gap between people can be. When it is about time, I tidy my desk and head to class 2, grade 4. The bell rings just as I reach the door. I explain to the class that Ikea-sensei has an engagement, and I will be substituting for the afternoon ninjutsu class. Everyone is present except Orito. About 3 minutes in, he rushes through the door, sees me at the podium, and goes dumbfounded. He ran too hard. He cannot quite believe I am teaching his class. For a moment, he thinks he walked into the wrong classroom. Then he recognizes his classmates and realizes he did not. He tries to explain that he did not mean to be late. He ran into a grandma and wasted time helping her. Someone in the class finishes, and the room bursts into laughter. Orito insists it is the truth and swears that if he had known I was teaching, he would have arrived half an hour early. He is terrified I will think he is not studying hard and stop teaching him. I tell him to return to his seat. I acknowledge the explanation, then add that he should not be late for Ikea-sensei's class either. Ninjutsu classes at the academy start from 1st grade, but only cover 3 ninjutsu: transformation, clone, and substitution. Spending years on 3 ninjutsu may seem wasteful, but geniuses like Shinji are rare. For the vast majority of ninja who only aim to become chunin, mastering those 3 is not easy, and there are other courses to juggle. The students have taken the 3-body technique class many times, but my ninjutsu lesson still makes their eyes light up. One student realizes at last why his clones never looked like him. Another jokes that he hopes Ikea-sensei has more engagements in the future. The class agrees loudly. I keep my own opinion to myself and silently thank the teaching skill. The system closes at A. Reward, lightning release, lightning clone, lightning release nature transformation, and a pile of lightning clone experience unpack in my mind. It is not a top-tier ninjutsu, but unlocking another chakra nature is good enough, especially after the morning's reward. For the next half-month, I settle into a rhythm. If no one asks me to substitute, I research ninjutsu theory in the office. If someone asks, I accept without hesitation. At home, I teach Shinji and Orito, then train my chakra. Perhaps because the quality of my substitute teaching is so high, students I have taught all want me back. Combined with my good rapport among the teachers, I quickly become a well-known teacher at the academy. The students call me perfect, interesting in class, gentle with people, and handsome. The teachers think I am sincere and kind. I have built the persona I wanted. My only real concern as I walk into my own yard one evening is figuring out why yet another masked ninja is standing inside it. The masked ninja is Hirata Iro again. He tells me I have completed my mission well. Lord Ganzo has asked him to give me these. He hands me 2 scrolls. I take them and nod calmly, saying nothing. Shadow Branch Ninja do not need much conversation. He also says nothing more. Once the handoff is done, he vanishes quickly to keep my identity safe. I sense his chakra drift away, then retreat to my room and open the 2 scrolls. One scroll contains a fire release ninjutsu, Great Dragon Fire technique. The other is Ganzo's written affirmation of my work and his latest instructions. Ganzo says I have fully used my initiative to integrate quickly into the Academy's decision-making. He rewards me with a powerful fire release ninjutsu. He tells me not to grow complacent and to keep building momentum. He wants me to observe Kagamiya Shinji closely and to keep an eye on other Kagamiya students as well. At the end, he dangles a grand vision. If I keep this up, he will help me get promoted to Special Jonin and take an important position at the academy. I let flames light in my palm and burn both scrolls to ash. Special Jonin, an important position. Hehe. If my original body were still the one inhabiting me, Ganzo's carrot and promise combination would have been genuinely motivating. But the fire release reward is Great Dragon Fire, which I already have. I do not actually want the Special Jonin promotion. Nothing Ganzo has offered means anything to me. I just want to laugh. I plan to set my main body to training and let my shadow clone read. Then I realize I have already burned through every ninjutsu book in the house. I decide to visit Keita's library and borrow more. The library is large and well stocked, including ninjutsu scrolls. It was established during the Second Shogun's era. It only carries D rank and C rank ordinary ninjutsu. Forbidden or high-level ones will never appear on its shelves, and even the ordinary ones cost a fair bit to borrow. None of that matters to me. I am not going for ninjutsu. I want information on sealing technique and restrictive cursed seals. Lectures teach me ninjutsu faster than practice ever could. For the tongue-cutting seal, I need real research. The walk to the library is the first time my main body has come out to stroll since transmigrating. I have spent over half a month hiding behind a shadow clone even for groceries. My situation has always felt too fragile. After accumulating a few more ninjutsu and a little more chakra, I finally feel safer. Safe enough to believe I would not die to a random AoE. At the library, I hand my ninja notebook to the ninja on duty. It has my basic information and ninja ID. The library is only open to ninja. The duty ninja checks it, finds no issue, and waves me in. Just as I am about to look for material, I run into a familiar figure, a man with golden hair and a gentle smile. Naminoya Minoru notices my gaze and looks back at me. We nod to each other. I enter as he exits. I appraise him. Name Naminoya Minoru, 40,000 chakra, potential S. Evaluation, killing Jonin is like slaughtering a chicken. One more look and you will explode. I keep my face still on the surface, but inside I am stunned. 40,000 chakra is the first 5-digit number I have ever seen. It is the equivalent of 86-year-old Shinji's. The evaluation is also terrifying, killing Jonin as if it were nothing. At this time, Minoru does not yet have the title, Golden Streak. In the public eye, he is just a capable Jonin. His master Gajiro is more famous and is one of the popular shogun candidates. Still, Minori's evaluation is accurate. With instant transmission mastered, killing ordinary Jonin is genuinely not hard for him. A ninja that fast is overwhelming against weaker opponents. I privately regret that Minoru has no son in the academy yet. If he did, I could engineer a closer acquaintance. I would like to be friends with him. His sealing technique mastery is substantial, and I am quietly envious of it. Cursed seals are essentially a branch of sealing. With a sealing master as my advisor, breaking the tongue-cutting seal would be much easier. Karain, as a tailed host, is too sensitive to approach. I do not want to draw trouble onto myself. I take 2 books related to sealing technique and 3 unrelated books. Register and pay, and leave. In the Southern Mirror Forest, I am training my disciples for the upcoming exam. I remind Orito and Goro that they have not forgotten what they promised. They must pass tomorrow's theoretical exam. Orito declares confidently that if he fails, I can punish him however I want. They have spent most of their time practicing ninjutsu and only occasionally discussing theory. On their most recent past paper run, Orito scored 30. By his math, that is already several points above passing. The academy passes at half the class average. The average usually sits just over 50. Goro shouts that if he does not pass, he will run 800 laps around Keita. He also scored 30. Orito declares he will not only pass theory but take first place in the practical. Goro refuses to hand him first. I smile and say nothing. I know they might not win first. The Shirogami clan has a student in class 4-1 who is genuinely strong. That student's potential is only A, but Orito and Goro have not yet unlocked their real potential. Orito has not awakened his crimson mirror eye. Goro has not mastered the 8 inner gates. The level is low and the variables are many. I cannot say for sure. I glance at Shinji, who is quietly reading. I am certain of him. He will take first in the entire grade in both theory and practical. If he could compete across grades, he might be first in the entire school. I wonder, idly, if the system will reward teachers when their students do well on the exam. The next morning in my classroom, many students are openly nervous. It is their first exam. Aiko asks Koda and Izuo if they are nervous. Koda admits he is. Izuo too. Aiko says proudly that there is nothing to be nervous about and that she will ace it easily. Koda remembers scoring 80 on my practice test. Izuo scored 87. Both worry the real exam will be harder and they might only score 60 or 70. Aiko is stunned. On a last practice test, she only scored around 60. Koda adds a new rumor. If the class's grades are too bad, teachers can be swapped out and they might lose me. Aiko does not want me to leave. Other teachers can be swapped, but not Kazami-sensei. Izu agrees. Only my lessons are interesting and easy to understand. Izio suggests they tell the whole class the news to boost morale. Aiko stands on her seat and announces it. The room reacts immediately. Koda shouts that they should all work hard so they do not get stuck with a boring medical ninja next. Someone vows to look down on anyone who does not pass this time. Shinji ignores the commotion. He plans to secure the grade's first place and let the results speak for themselves. My voice cuts through. Everyone quiet down. The exam is almost here, and I only want them to do their best. I walk to the doorway unnoticed. I smile and tell them I believe they can achieve good grades. I do not linger. I have been assigned to proctor another class. Privately, I know the worry is unfounded. Teacher swaps are decided over a whole semester a year, and my practice test was harder than the real exam. I walk into class 2, grade 4, and announce the start of the exam. Proctoring is randomly assigned. Many students greet me. I nod and smile at each. This class has Orito and Goro, both my disciples. It is also one of the classes I most often cover, so everyone is familiar with me. Compared to Ikea Yu, they like me more than he does. Goro takes a deep breath like he is facing an enemy. Orito tells Ren to wait and see. This time he will change her perception of him. Ren encourages him sweetly, telling him to get the easy ones first and save the hard ones for last. Orito nods. Kimura Sugito joins me shortly after. We are proctoring the same room. When the bell rings, we distribute the papers together. Then we rotate through the aisles, occasionally perching at the podium. We chat quietly. Kimura Sugito sighs that Ikea Yu's bonus is probably in jeopardy, saddled with 2 dead last students. I smile and say, it is hard to say, maybe this semester they will study hard and pass. Kimura Sugito thinks I am too optimistic. 3 years without a single passing theory exam is no small pattern. I continue my rounds. Because of the exam, the whole academy is suspended for 3 days. First day theory, second and third days practical. 3 days with no lecture rewards, fewer ninjutsu practiced, less chakra refined. The disciple return system still works though. After the theory exam, I give Orito some shuriken and get a small burst. 50 chakra. Orito thanks me emotionally and swears he will use them to win first place. At training ground 16, I call roll before the practical exam. The academy cannot fit the whole school on one playground, so the practical is held at the training ground. After confirming attendance, Kimura Sugito and I announce the lot draw. The format is simple. Students draw a number by class roster. 1 fights, 2, 3 fights, 4, and so on. Orito draws 1 and runs excitedly to find Ren's number. She draws 10. Orito is in the first match. He says confidently that any match is fine because he will win. A month of my training has left him feeling transformed. He asks Goro's number. 40. They can only meet at the very end. Goro gives him a thumbs up and says not to lose before he gets there. Orito snaps back that he is a Kagamiya. A classmate next to them complains that 2 dead last students should not be talking about meeting at the top. I call the first match to order. Kagamiya Orito versus Kagamiya Tekito. Orito walks to the chalked out square. Kagamiya Tekito steps in from the other side. Both Kagamiya, both the same age, both classmates, and barely acquainted. No dramatic history. Neither has ever been interested in the other. Tekito thinks Oreo is a little foolish, weak, and often late. He has never seen a Kagamiya this underwhelming. Orito thinks Tekito seems cold and hard to get along with. The watchers mutter and chuckle. Losing to a clansmate will be embarrassing. Someone argues there is no suspense. Tekito has been class first in 2nd and 3rd grade, except for the 1st grade year when Kentaro beat him. Ren worries for Orito and only hopes he does not push himself too hard and get injured. Goro, arms crossed, smiles. He believes Orito can win. Class 2, Grade 4's commotion draws curious onlookers from other 4th grade classes, signaling intent to attack. After the fight, they will form the reconciliation seal to show they are still comrades. I call the match to begin. Tekito draws 3 shuriken and throws them at Orito's head, body, and feet, then rushes in. Orito throws 3 shuriken back. The 6 collide in midair with a crisp metallic ring and drop together. Kimura Sugito murmurs that the Kagamiya's shuriken throwing is indeed exceptional. Tekito closes and throws a right hook. Orito meets it fist to fist and they begin grappling. Dust rises. The onlookers are surprised. Orito is supposed to be the Kagamiya dead last, yet he is trading blows with Tekito. Ren opens her mouth slightly. She had always assumed his boasts were empty. She was wrong this time. Kimura Sugito shakes his head. Orito is still a bit lacking. I nod agreement. A single month is not enough to fix everything. Orito mainly trained fire release. His nature transformation improved greatly, but taijutsu did not. As Kimura Sugito said, Orito is slowly pushed back. A watcher breathes a sigh of relief that he guessed correctly. Orito finds an opening, kicks off Tekito's punch to create distance, and begins forming hand seals. He did not practice fire release for a month just to exchange fists. Fire release, Great Dragon Fire technique. Orito completes the hand seals, gathers chakra into his mouth, and releases a ferocious fire dragon at Takedo. Takedo, already surprised by Orito's improvement in taijutsu, refuses to believe ninjutsu will be different. He decides to clash ninjutsu head-on. Fire release. Great fireball technique. Takedo blows out a man-sized fireball. One side has a fanged fire dragon. The other has a blazing fireball. The two techniques are about to collide. The other students gasp enviously. Some of them have not even mastered the three-body technique. Students from other classes abandon their belief that Orito is a dead last. An honor student is more accurate. Someone mutters that Takedo's fireball still looks larger and will win the clash. Kimura Sugito sighs approvingly that students from prominent clans are just different. He is already drafting a high grade for Orito. First round exit or not. Just as the two techniques are about to collide, the fire dragon suddenly rises. It avoids the fireball entirely and dives back toward Takedo. Orito moves in the same breath, dodging the fireball while controlling the dragon. Takedo did not expect this cheating play. A great fireball cannot turn. Seeing the dragon close in, Takedo tries to dodge and realizes he is too late. He braces for injury. I flash step to his side, lift him, and carry him out of the combat area before setting him down. He thanks me. Without my intervention, injury was unavoidable. I nod and announce the result. First match, Kagamiya Orito wins. Some of the watchers have not caught up yet. They were expecting a fire release clash, and instead got a sneaky redirect that ended the match instantly. Someone mutters that Orito is not to be underestimated. Takedo's man-sized fireball looked impressive but was hard to land. Orito's great dragon fire has a smaller attack range but is far more flexible and far easier to connect. Ren cheers for Orito, genuinely happy. Winning against Takedo, even with a weak theoretical score, means no one will call him dead last anymore. A ninja proves himself with strength. Orito hears her praise and breaks into a smug grin. Hee, I told you it would be fine. At that moment, Orito is enormously grateful to me. He knows this win exists because I teach him every day. His old self would have been crushed by Takedo's taijutsu phase alone. A system message pops from me. Disciple Kagamiya Orito's trust level has increased. Current trust level 3. I glance at Orito, who is smiling at Ren. Apparently being a lovesick fool has its uses. Trust levels are hard to raise. A single level jump roughly doubles the feedback. The previous numbers have been small only because Shinji and the others are still early. Once they enter real growth, a higher trust level could mean tens of thousands of extra chakra a year. My quiet target was 1 trust level 3 per semester. Orito hitting 3 in a month is a bonus. The later matches are less tense. Most require no teacher intervention. I score quietly and chat with Kimura Sugito. I cannot wander the training ground appraising, but I want to because I still have an empty disciple slot. 3 are filled. 1 is open. I refuse to burn it on anything below S potential. Keita is full of geniuses, and the world is vast. There is no need to rush. My panel updates to 5,300 chakra and a refreshed skill list. Evaluation. You have mastered many ninjutsu, including powerful advanced ones. Ordinary jonin are no match. My speed of improvement is decent. 1,000 chakra in a month. Ninjutsu from 2 to dozens. Morning passes. The first 2 rounds conclude. Goro does not get to prove himself the way Orito did. His early opponents are ordinary, and though he cleans them up quickly, that alone does not shift public perception. I know it is only a matter of time. The class's internal practical will finish in the afternoon. A champion will be decided then. At noon in the office, the teachers discuss what they saw while proctoring. Ikea Yu grumbles enviously about Shiragami Hotaru from Class 1, Grade 4. As expected of a Shiragami, almost no one in Class 1 could last a minute against him. He will likely take the grade-level practical championship again. Ikea Yu wishes he were Class 1's homeroom teacher, because then his bonus would be safe and he could take his blind date somewhere nicer. That will not happen. Classes with good grades do not swap teachers. Kimura Sugito casually drops that Kagamiya Orito from Ikea Yu's class is also quite strong and might compete for the title. Ikea Yu stares at him. He must mean Kagamiya Takedo. He does not. He means Orito. Ikea Yu refuses to believe it. Kagamiya Orito is the famous Kagamiya dead last. What strength could he possibly have? Kimura Sugito confirms he is not lying. Orito's first opponent was Kagamiya Takedo, and he won decisively. Seeing Ikea Yu still skeptical, Kimura Sugito pulls me in. I nod and confirm. Orito defeated Takedo in the first round. Ikea Yu scratches his head. He believes me. I am the teacher who gained every teacher's approval after only a month. He cannot imagine how Orito did it. A mysterious master from the sky teaching him advanced ninjutsu in secret. Privately, I think. You have no idea. Once Goro also shows his strength, you will probably suspect a genjutsu. Ikea Yu has basically won the lottery this round. His bonus is safe. He is not entirely lucky. He did put in effort. He also often asked me to substitute, helping me recruit disciples and earn rewards, and he has treated me to several meals. He has earned some karma. Uda Aya speaks up. She was proctoring my Class 1, Grade 1. The overall level of their three-body technique feels almost on par with the second-grade class she teaches. One super genius in particular, Kagamiya Shinji, reminds her of Hakase Kentaro from a few years ago. The first-grade practical champion will definitely be him. Ikea Yu asks whether comparing him to Kentaro is really that exaggerated. Kentaro is a recognized super genius and was promoted to Chunin a year after graduating. Ude Aya nods. It is that exaggerated. Shinji is simply not on the same level as other first graders. Ikea Yu envies me openly. Excellent performance review. Easily mine. Uda Aya corrects him. It is not just luck. It is because I teach well. If the class level were only about having geniuses, the students in the classes I only substitute in would not ask for me back so loudly. Every class I cover gives rave reviews. Ikea Yu quickly backpedals and admits his students wish I taught them every day. I say modestly that the students themselves are diligent enough. I practice calligraphy until the afternoon exam begins. We are back at training ground 16. There are fewer students now because those already eliminated can skip. Matches proceed one after another. Ren, not strong in combat, is eliminated in the first afternoon round. Goro, on the other hand, continues his clean sweep. When he decisively kicks Daisuke in one shot, the watchers finally start paying attention. His speed is too fast. Classmates who knew him in 3rd grade are puzzled. He was only decent back then. Maybe he trained harder during break. The roster reaches the final match. Number 1 Kagamiya Orito versus number 40 Maeda Goro. They walk to the examination area. Orito glances at Ren standing outside and his fighting spirit surges. In front of her, he does not want to lose at all. Goro replies in high spirits. If he wants to become the strongest, he has to take every first place he can. Students who mocked them earlier feel their faces sting. 3rd grade dead last are now the last two standing. They form the confrontation seal. I call the match. Orito immediately retreats, casting ninjutsu as he backs away. He knows Goro is a taijutsu specialist and refuses to trade fists. Clone technique. 2 clones appear beside him. The 3 Oritos crisscross and switch positions to confuse Goro. Goro's speed outpaces Orito's expectations. Kato Whirlwind. A lightning-fast whirlwind kick disperses 2 clones and sends the real Orito flying back over a meter. Orito's arm trembles. He took the kick with his arm and it is throbbing. Goro presses his advantage and closes in. In a pure taijutsu exchange, Orito cannot match him. He falls into a disadvantage quickly. The watchers debate who will win. One student predicts a quick Goro victory. Another argues that Orito also fell behind Takito in taijutsu before winning with fire release. Some believe Orito is holding back his real ninjutsu power. He did defeat Takito after all. Kimura Sugito asks my prediction. I answer Goro. He agrees. Orito's fire release is powerful, but the flat open venue does not suit him. I nod. On paper their strength is close, but Orito is like a turret with a limited close combat option and no way to cast without incantations. Against a high-speed warrior like Goro in open ground, he cannot win. The next instant proves it. Goro catches an opening. A Kato whirlwind kicks Orito flying. I announce, Maeda Goro wins. A student who had predicted Orito covers his forehead. Orito is consistent in being disappointing. When you expect him to lose, he wins. When you expect him to win, he loses. A classmate asks Goro for his training secret. Goro thinks, then answers. Probably wake up at 5:30 in the morning. Run around Keita until class. Then practice taijutsu against a training dummy all night. And on weekends, goodbye, the student says. Having already heard enough, admiration has turned to horror. Even real ninja would not train like that every day. Ren walks up to Orito and asks if he is okay. Orito brushes the dust off and says he is fine. He lost by a hair this time but will win next time. He is lying to look cool. Ren is not fooled. She grabs his arm, rolls up his sleeve, finds several bruises, and glares at him to head to the infirmary. She drags him off. His mouth protests. His body obediently follows. The class's internal practical concludes. Tomorrow, the top 2 from each class fight to determine the grade's top student. After the exam, Goro plans to thank me and hurry home to tell his father. He can already imagine Maeda Doji crying tears of joy about youth. I do not let him leave yet. I pull him aside and tell him I have something to give him. I smile. Congratulations on taking first place. I take out a small booklet and hand it to him. It is a taijutsu training manual I wrote in my spare time recently, along with my ideas for the future development of Kato Whirlwind. Consider it a gift for first place. Goro looks at the manual. Then his sharp eyes catch something else. Faint gray smudges on my palm. Ink stains I clearly tried to wash out. He flips through the contents. He understands everything. This is not something I casually wrote. This was written for him. Even if he had not taken first, it would have been given to him under some other pretext. The future development ideas for Kata Whirlwind look tailor-made. Goro cannot deny the effort behind it. Tears well up. He tells me emotionally that he will not let my effort be in vain. He will become the strongest taijutsu ninja. I take out a tissue and wipe his tears and pat his shoulder. For a teacher, a disciple growing stronger is the best reward. I say it with perfect sincerity. He nods heavily. His belief in becoming stronger solidifies. As Goro walks away, I read the system message with a smile. I gifted my disciple a taijutsu training manual. Due to the disciple's immense gratitude, the reward received a huge critical hit. Water release chakra nature transformation mastery granted. Disciple Maeda Goro's trust level has increased. Current trust level 3. A chakra nature transformation mastery is far better than another taijutsu proficiency. If I accumulate more of these, I might even be able to develop my own bloodline limit. The trust level jump is a bonus. I note for the future, for high-quality gifts, planning is worth it. Stimulating the emotions to the maximum makes big rewards easier. If I had given the manual casually, a small burst would have given me a proficient ninjutsu or taijutsu. Instead, I gave it at a moment of victory, let him see the ink on my palm, and closed with inspirational words. That layered the emotion. The first place win made him remember my teaching. The inspirational close ignited the rest. I wonder, idly, whether the system will issue exam rewards after results are out. If students perform so well, the teacher should be rewarded. The third day of the exam moves fast. Only 2 students come from each class, and the academy has only 8 classes per grade. Many students who are not examies come to watch anyway. They all want to know who tops 4th grade. Someone spots Orito among the examies and is confused. His companion explains that Orito beat Kagami at Takedo. The conversation drifts through the other class representatives. Even the students who once complained about Orito and Goro now cheer for them as their class representatives. I watch the first round and conclude silently that the grade's top student will be Shinji. Orito and Goro are probably out. Shiragami Hotaru's gentle palm is well practiced, and the pale side-eye gives him too much advantage. Goro will struggle against him. Orito will struggle more. Shiragami clan ninja have a significant early-stage edge. The pale sight-eye is easier to awaken than the crimson mirror eye, and gentle palm is an excellent inherited taijutsu. Orito and Goro have only trained with me a short time. Their ceilings are not high yet, and their weaknesses remain. As the rounds progress, they reach the final 2 fights. Orito versus Shiragami Hotaru. Goro versus a ninja from Class 3 4th grade. Exactly as I expected, Orito does not even get to use a single ninjutsu. Hotaru's gentle palm beats him badly. In the final match, Goro performs much better, but his moves are still read by Hotaru's pale side-eye, and he cannot escape losing either. Orito looks dejected. He wanted to compete for first place and did not even make the top 2. I pass by and comfort him. Do not always dwell on failure. Think about how much you have improved from last time. Strive for next time. His mood brightens instantly. Last exam he was 20th in his class. This exam he almost made the top 2 of the whole grade. Calculated that way, progress is immense. First place is just around the corner. I walk over to Goro. To my surprise, he also looks dejected. I had thought his will would shake off a single loss. Thinking again, I suspect yesterday's taijutsu manual is the reason. He may feel the weight of my expectations. I offer another comfort. Failure runs through life. That is life. Do not let one failure defeat you. Goro trembles. He has had more than his share of failures. The entrance exam he almost failed. The single move defeat against Kintaro, being called dead last in every course. He seems to understand at last what his father means by youth never fades. He tells me he understands. His eyes harden. What he needs is not to dwell on the loss, but to train harder and win next time, until he becomes the strongest. I nod with satisfaction and walk on. I find Shinji surrounded by a group of students asking him questions. They greet me when I arrive. Aiko trots to my side and reminds me she came second in the grade. Any reward? I smile and pat her head. How about I treat you to dango? Yay, Kazami-sensei is the best. Koda next to her grumbles that Shinji, who got first in the grade, has not even asked for a reward, and that Aiko is too impatient. He is not genuinely critical, he is envious. Aiko is in the did too well bracket, whereas he and Izio were not. I chuckle, send the students off, and walk toward the shopping street with Shinji. I ask Shinji how he feels about the exam. He thinks and answers honestly. Very ordinary. There is not even anyone who required him to fight with full strength. I tell him that is normal. With his strength, few in 4th grade are his match, let alone first. He looks at me thoughtfully. My eye color, he notes, is a very striking blue. He asks if I think he should graduate early. Graduate early? He says some very talented seniors in the past graduated quickly because the academy had nothing to teach them. I shake my head. I do not recommend graduating in 1st grade. At the very least, Wait until second or third. His strength may be outstanding among peers, but outside school his opponents will not be peers, especially now, with war looming. If he feels the curriculum is meaningless, he can use a shadow clone to attend school and train on his main body under my guidance. Although in the original story, Shinji survived the Third Ninja World War just fine and earned the title Shinji the Flash Step, the original story did not include me. The butterfly effect is hard to predict. I still want him in the academy for a few more years. What is the point of graduating if you cannot even instantly beat a Chunin? I would not feel safe on the Keita Main Street without Jonin level strength. He nods, eyes lit up, and accepts the advice. I take him to buy a pile of dango and we return to school. Before afternoon classes, I hand out dango to every student in class 1, grade 1. I cannot give it only to Aiko, but I do give her an extra portion as promised. Kazami-sensei is the best in the world, she declares. With a few more portions, Keita might form a Kazami cult. The other students thank me as well. Their favorability, already high, rises another notch. The academy is efficient. 2 days after the exam, all results are compiled and posted. My predictions are confirmed. Early morning on the results day, Kota greets Izuo on his way to school. He puts an arm around Izuo's neck, locks him playfully, then releases him, and asks why he looks so down. Izuo sighs that today is the day results come out. He feels his score might be very low. Kota pats his shoulder. Do not worry, he probably scored the same. They walk on. Aiko intercepts them cheerfully. The boys explain the mood. Aiko grins triumphantly. She feels she did well and her score may be high. Then she can ask Kazami-sensei for another reward. Izuo's and Kota's theoretical scores are good, and hers was better than theirs in practice, so obviously hers will be even higher. Izuo tells her she is second in the grade practical and did well in theory, and he genuinely envies her. Aiko swells further, walking with a swagger like a boss. The three of them meet Shinji and other class 1 students at the school gate. Aiko's expectations soar. If Shinji is only average, could she be first? Probably not first, she thinks, but maybe top 5. Normally her grades are only average. At the bulletin board, a crowd has already formed. Discussions about scores are everywhere. Class 1 scores are too high, so many in the 70s and 80s. Someone has a perfect score and a first in practicals. Terrifying. As expected of Kazami-sensei's class, Aiko pushes through with Kota and Izuo and finds class 1's results. 80 points, she exclaims, finding her name. Then she notices the ranking looks off and asks them for their scores. Kota found his 92. What she says, suspecting she misheard. 92, he repeats. Keita expletive. She slaps his shoulder hard and stares at him in disbelief. He said he did not do well. She asks whether that qualifies. He tries to gloss over it, saying it was luck. She asks Izuo. 97. What? Kota says, misheard. 97, Izuo repeats, smiling wider. Kota's face falls. He was comforting him this morning. He locks Izuo's neck and drags him away. Aiko joins the scrum, sneaking in the occasional punch. These two are too hateful, scoring that well and deceiving her feelings. After a month of diligent study, disciple Kagamiya Shinji achieves a perfect score. Reward: Chakra plus 300 ninjutsu proficiency scroll. The scroll elevates any mastered ninjutsu to proficient level. After a month of diligent study, disciple Kagamiya Orito achieves a good score. Reward: Chakra plus 150. After a month of diligent study, disciple Maeda Goro achieves a good score. Reward: Chakra plus 150. As I expected, the system does reward exams. The rewards are much richer than lecturing. I could not generate 600 chakra lecturing until my throat was raw for 3 days. AB rank evaluation only yields 20. The rewards are lower only because Orito and Goro's theoretical scores were merely passing, and they did not get first in practicals. An impulsive thought passes. I should ask the school to hold more exams. The academy usually only has 2 per semester. If there were 10, I would soar. The thought dies quickly. If I did that, I would probably stop being able to farm rewards. My usual in-class quizzes count as exams, and the system has not issued rewards for those. The suggestion would not be accepted anyway. 10 exams a semester would exhaust students and teachers alike. I use the ninjutsu proficiency scroll on Water Severing Wave. A flood of training memories fills my mind. Although I have many ninjutsu now, I still believe Water Severing Wave is the most powerful. At noon in the office, I become the center of conversation. Kimura Sugito cannot help asking how I teach. The students' theoretical scores are outrageous. The class average is dozens of points higher than other classes. Ikea Yu follows up, asking if I have any small tricks. His 2 barely passed this time, but next time is anyone's guess. Goro and Orito shocked him. They took the class's top 2 practical places and passed theory. Just as I am about to answer, a teacher enters the office and tells me the principal is looking for me. Uda Aya's voice cuts through the morning chatter in the teacher's office, asking in a soft, startled tone whether I'm really being summoned to the principal's office. The Ninja Academy doesn't have many formidable teachers. Most of us are ordinary chunin, but the principal is no simple figure. In the Academy's history, only 2 people have held that seat. The second shogun, Shojin Tabira, and the current third shogun. And even though Lord Third nominally heads the school, he almost never sets foot on campus outside the opening year speech, handling his official business at the Shogun building instead. That's why Ueda Aya is surprised. Not only is Lord Third actually in the principal's office today, he's summoning a single teacher in, far too rare to ignore. I set down my papers, nod politely, and tell everyone I'm sorry but I have to go. We can discuss the lecture later when I'm back. Ikea Yu waves me off quickly, telling me not to keep Lord Third waiting, and his face shows such obvious envy his eyes nearly turn into lemons. He has been teaching several years and has never even seen the inside of the principal's office, let alone received a personal summons. But when he thinks about my class's results, a grade average in the 70s while every other grade 1 class hovers between 40 and 50, with Kagamiya Shinji recognized as a super genius and my students taking the top 2 practical scores in the grade, his envy subsides into resignation. He knows he couldn't lead a class like that. The principal's office is on the 5th floor, the top of the teaching building, while my small office sits down on the 2nd. I climb the stairs, glance at the sign by the door, and knock. A dignified middle-aged voice tells me to enter. Inside, the layout is plain. A desk by the window, bookshelves along the walls. A set of table and chairs near the door. The third shogun in person isn't as old as he looks in the late anime. His hair and beard are still black, his face unlined, and he isn't wearing a shogun hat since he's at the academy. His gaze carries so much authority he doesn't need to show anger for it to feel intimidating. He stands, gestures me toward the chairs, and tells me to sit. I greet him respectfully as Lord Third and take the seat offered. Not overly modest, not presumptuous. In my previous life, the Sandtime's reputation was not especially clean. Many things got folded into his schemes in the retelling. I don't know what the man actually sitting across from me is like, but as an academy teacher, my outward face has to be impeccable. So even if I'm cursing internally, I keep the gentle smile in place. He chuckles and praises my teaching, noting my class's theory average runs 20 to 30 points higher than the others, and that in practical combat my students took the top 2 places, and that the proctors agreed my students handle transformation and clone technique better than anyone else in their grade. I deflect with a modest answer, that the students themselves are diligent, that I only did my best to teach, but I'm careful not to be entirely modest. I want him to hear both points, that the students' own effort matters, and that I poured myself into teaching them. Doing your best to teach. Well said, he replies with satisfaction, and declares that if the academy had more teachers like me, the next generation wouldn't be a worry. I don't respond, I only show an expression of attentive listening, because agreeing would imply the other teachers are good for nothings and disagreeing would imply they're not serious. Then, with another chuckle, he announces that based on Class 1, Grade 1's performance, he's designating me as outstanding teacher for this semester. I let surprise, then gratitude, cross my face and I thank him. I add worriedly that it's only been a month. Wouldn't such an award tarnish his reputation if it gets out? He waves the concern away with something like hacky in his voice. The title is for teachers who perform exceptionally, and if others lead classes like mine, he'll give it to them the same. Then he dangles the real bait. If I maintain this quality for another year, he'll promote me to Special Jonin and appoint me vice class leader of the Academy teacher class. I offer a grateful expression and say that as a teacher, my responsibility is to educate students well. That's always my first thought. Inwardly, I note that Gonzo and the third shogun must have studied under the same master. Their inducements match almost word for word, both dangling Special Jonin. And compared to a title, I genuinely care far more about my students' growth, because that's where the real money comes from. Seeing my sincere face, and he's a man who has read countless people, he is convinced I'm telling the truth, and his regard for me visibly climbs. Then he asks whether I'd be willing to hear a more private matter. I nod, wondering what the Sandime is up to. He tells me his young son Saruta Asuro graduated this year, and just became a genin, that the boy is immature in every way and gives him plenty of headaches, and he would like to hire me as a private tutor. With my demonstrated teaching level, he says, guiding a newly graduated genin should be no problem. I can read between the lines easily enough. This is a test of me, and the Outstanding Teacher Award and the Special Jonin Dangle are all designed to build goodwill, paving the road for when he eventually asks Ganzo for me outright. For him, those honors cost nothing but a sentence. I tell him I need time to think it over. That surprises him. He clearly hadn't expected me to hesitate. I explain that I teach every weekday and spend my weekends planning the next week's lessons, and I'd only accept if I could guarantee teaching quality on both sides, so please allow me time to consider. He laughs, calls me an excellent teacher again, and dismisses me. As I walk out, I run the appraisal on him. Name, Saruta Hiruaki. Chakra 170,000. Potential S. Evaluation, highly talented in ninjutsu, skilled in combination ninjutsu, A single nature transformation may not compare to bloodline limits, but what would you do if I used 5 simultaneously? The peak third shogun, I think, startled and a little envious at that trail of zeros in the chakra readout. 170,000, 130,000 more than Naminoya Minoru had when I read him in the library. Of course, Minoru is only 18 and still growing. Comparing a ninja in his prime to one mid-development isn't fair. As I walked back to the office, I'm already drafting how to write the report for Ganzo. Lack of time and needing careful consideration were just excuses. I'm not so busy that I couldn't spare a handful of hours on a weekend. I could feel Lord Third trying to curry favor, or else he wouldn't have mentioned the outstanding teacher title and special Jonin promotion at all. But his sincerity was too thin. All empty titles and no real benefits. If he had exposed my Shadow Branch identity the moment I walked in and asked me to follow him, I would have kicked Gonzo aside on the spot. As it stands, he's hesitating. Classic old playboy behavior. If I had agreed immediately, I'd have gotten nothing out of Gonzo, so it's better to hold the answer back and throw the whole problem into Gonzo's lap. The possibility that Lord Third doesn't know my Shadow Branch identity isn't impossible, but it's deeply unlikely. The Shadow Branch can't be brought into the open, and if the third shogun doesn't even know a Shadow Branch ninja has entered his academy, his position would be meaningless. Back in the office, the other teachers crowd around to ask what happened. Ude Aya asks if Lord Third was giving me an award. IKEA guesses it must be, since the exam results were so strong and I'm a new teacher. I tell them only that he was confirming my teaching achievements, then take out paper and pen and start practicing calligraphy while thinking. Kimura Sugito sighs that he wonders when Lord Third will recognize him too. The gap between people is vast. He says he still remembers my inexperience when I first arrived, and didn't expect me to surpass an elder like him so fast. I tell him to just do his best to teach and keep practicing calligraphy. IKEA, predictably, asks me to cover his afternoon class. He has something to do. I agree, I'm free. Then he turns to Kimura Sugito and tries to borrow money, 80,000 ryo, for a date, and he and Ueda Aya bicker about whether the girl even likes him, while Kimura Sugito lectures him about his finances. Kimura Sugito lends it in the end. I think idly that if this world had short videos, filming IKEA's office life as a weekly drama would make bank, and then he wouldn't need to borrow anything. After that, I settled down to calligraphy until class. When I walk into the classroom, the students perk up, delighted that Mutsuki-sensei is covering ninjutsu today. Orido predictably bursts in 5 minutes late in a sprint, sees me at the podium and freezes. I gesture for him to sit and start teaching the clone technique as the students requested. Orido grumbles to himself that IKEA-sensei should have warned him. During the break, I call Orido and Goro out to ask about their exam scores. They declare in unison that they passed, chests puffed, though when I get the details, Orido barely cleared 30 when the passing mark had been inflated to 60 from the usual 25. He scratches his head and says he doesn't know why the scores were higher this time, and Goro suggests it's because I covered the class. He, of all people, could feel the difference between me and the other teachers. Orido panics that next time will be even higher, and I smile and tell him passing is my most basic requirement. If he can't manage that, everything else will be arranged by me. The two of them remember the terror of practice papers and vow they'll pass next time as well. That evening, I write my report for Gonzo and send it off. The reply comes quickly. 3 scrolls lie before me. The first holds 200,000 ryo, which I pocket. Money is always good in any world, and ninja are heavy spenders. Ninja tools and secret medicines bleed coin fast. The second is a C-rank ninjutsu, fire release flame bullet, which I haven't drawn before but already don't need to practice since I've mastered plenty of large and flexible fire release already. The third is Ganzo's reply to my report. He first praises my completion, calls me an excellent teacher so quickly, so pleased with Lord Third's praise, and then runs through several paragraphs of his usual PUA, urging me on. I skip to the actual instruction. Become Saruta Asuro's tutor, gain his trust, and make him respect you. I put the ninjutsu scroll away and burn the other 2, noting with a small sigh that old man Ganzo still hasn't given up on the shogun's seat. It's obvious he's eyeing Lord Third's youngest son. Fine. At most, I'll give up a few hours of my weekend. If Asuro's talent reaches S rank, I might even take him as a disciple. I still have 1 slot open. A thought crosses my mind. Should I sell the house in the main district? The original owner didn't live near the sparsely populated southern Mirror Forest from the start. He actually inherited a house in the main district from his parents, and only relocated to the forest to conceal his identity. He used to go back once a year to clean the place. Since I'm not living there anyway, it might be worth selling. I recall that the location is quite good. The sum might let me buy more secret medicines for cultivation. Every little self-improvement counts, even with the system's help, so I set out for the main district to inspect it. I find the house from the original owner's memories. Just as I'm about to fit the key into the lock, a blonde figure walks out of the house next door and greets me curiously. asking if I'm a new resident. Nami Noya Minoru. I recognize him immediately, and he recognizes me just as fast. He'd seen me in the library once, and since he himself has golden hair and blue eyes, running into another man with the same hair, eyes, and a gentle smile left a deep impression. I tell him no, this is my home. I moved out for some reasons and rarely come back. In that instant, my mind shifts. The house doesn't need to be sold at all. I had been wondering how to get close to Minoru and lean a sealing technique knowledge out of him for free, and now we're neighbors and he's the one who moved in later. Then a vibrant female voice announces Kurain's arrival. She looks at me and teases Minoru that he never told her he had a brother who looked so much like him. Kurain Uzushio, I confirm with a quick appraisal. Red hair, mischievous energy, sheer presence. Minoru apologizes for her liveliness and realizes mid-sentence that he doesn't know my name. I introduce myself as Kazumi Mugetsu. She introduces herself as Kurain Uzushio, and Minoru gives his own name with a smile. Her hair, I tell her, is beautiful fiery red. Her eyes light up instantly and she gives me a thumbs up and declares I have good taste. As the door opens, accumulated dust swirls out, and I apologize that I can't host them properly now. I need to clean. They take their leave gracefully. As Kurain walks off, I run the panel. Name, Kurain Uzushio. Chakra 150,000 with a question mark. Potential SS. Evaluation. Skilled in sealing technique, possesses an enormous amount of special chakra beyond ordinary reach. Enough chakra to make me openly envious. The question mark is a first, likely because she's already the nine-tailed beast's host, and the beast inside hasn't been separately appraised, so the system adds the marker. SS potential is the highest I've seen, and combined with the original work, I'd guess at least one S comes from the beast itself. If she lost the beast, she'd drop to S. With double S, she would otherwise outclass even Lord Third and Minoru, who only sit at S. I form multiple shadow clone jutsu and send 10 clones through the house, wiping away the accumulated dust. I silently salute Shojin Tobira's genius for inventing something so convenient. Afterwards, I buy daily necessities and stock the place. I'm not in a hurry to visit Minoru. Better to stay here occasionally and naturally become friends. That evening, I open the window, feel the breeze, and start refining my disciples' training plans. Orito and Goro, neither of whom took first place in their grade, both need targeted intensive training. Shinji needs chakra control improvement, both to strengthen his current combat power and lay the foundation for later genjutsu. The next day, I head to the Shogun building after morning classes. Lord Third can't wait in a teacher's office every day for my answer, so he'd told me to come there if I meant to accept. I'm stopped on the office floor but let through once I say Lord Third sent me, and I knock on the wooden door and announce myself. Come in, Kazami, his voice calls. When I open the door, I find Minoru already inside. Both of us are briefly surprised. He didn't expect to see his new neighbor in this room either. Lord Third introduces me as Teacher Kazami. Says my teaching ability is so strong that he can't help but want me for a Soro's tutor, and notices our expressions. Minoru explains we're neighbors. That's truly fate, Lord Third says, and encourages us to interact more, calling us both excellent ninja in our fields. Minoru excuses himself soon after. The Shogun's office isn't a good place to chat. I feel the same. I tell Lord Third I've thought it through and can spare a few hours on weekends if I arrange my time carefully. He laughs, delighted. What follows is the cliché salary discussion. He is quite generous, offering 2,000 ryo per hour, 8 hours across the 2 weekend days, paid weekly. I set the schedule to start at 1 p.m. and end at 5 p.m. That afternoon Friday, I have no class, so I go directly to the small river where I usually train. Shinji is there, working through fire release, with one of my shadow clones. Since he took first place in the grade, he's been running his shadow clone to the academy for him and training here on the main body during school hours. I dismiss the clone, and Shinji stops and greets me as Teacher Matsuki. I hand him a square towel and tell him to rest and wipe off the sweat, and I appraise him while he does. Name, Kagamiya Shinji. Chakra 580. Potential SS-. His chakra has jumped significantly from a month ago, partly from heavier training and partly because his body is still developing. Growth will accelerate. What annoys me a little is how simplistic the panel is. Only chakra and potential show. I tell him that today the plan changes. We'll start on Flash Step and enhance chakra control. Since Shinji eventually earned the title Shinji the Flash Step during the Third Ninja World War, the basics of the category are a natural fit, and he nods without objection. Flash Step isn't technically the name of a ninjutsu, but a whole category. Anything producing a flickering effect qualifies. At higher levels, even space-time techniques like instant transmission belong, as do body-vitalizing modes like lightning release chakra mode. I of course don't know either. The version I have is the common one. Form hand signs, gather chakra in the legs, burst it out to strengthen the body for high-speed movement, with the drawback that overuse causes muscle fatigue and injury. Ordinary D-ranked taijutsu, but incredibly practical for ambushes and retreats. Shinji's talent doesn't disappoint. He hasn't even activated his Crimson Mirror Eye yet, and still after one demonstration and explanation he has the flash step working. After the academy lets out Goro and Orito arrive at the training ground, I tell them not to start yet. I've drawn up a 2-month special training plan. Orito immediately looks at me expectantly and asks if I'm teaching a new powerful ninjutsu. I shake my head. He hasn't fully grasped Great Dragon Fire technique or Great Fireball technique yet. Why would I teach him anything new? He deflates. I explain. The plan is training that will let them defeat Shirogami Hotaru in the next final exam. Orito's taijutsu is too weak. Forget Hotaru. Even the current Goro could shut down his ninjutsu entirely before he cast anything. So taijutsu is the priority. Orito opens his mouth to argue but realizes he can't. His losses to Hotaru and to Goro line up exactly with my description. Ninja battles sometimes look like mage duels, but if you actually fight like a cannon mage without taijutsu, you die fastest on the battlefield. Strong ninja always have some proficiency. As for Goro, he needs to double down on his strength. He has to become faster, fast enough that even if Hotaru's pale sight eye sees his movements, Hotaru's reaction time can't catch up. The pale sight eye observes well, that's true, but Goro doesn't need to outrun the eye, only outrun Hotaru's reflexes. Then I lay down the rule. From now on, for every hour of training, the two of them spend 30 minutes on actual combat. Only taijutsu, no ninjutsu. Orito wails. He already couldn't win and now he can't even use ninjutsu. Isn't this just pure beatdown? I tell him if he doesn't want to lose to Hotaru again, then no ninjutsu. He thinks back to the boast he made in front of Nono Ren, foresees the painful weeks ahead, and nods with tears in his eyes. As a new round begins, I wonder whether this will finally trigger a strength growth reward from the system. I haven't triggered one yet and don't know the threshold. On Saturday morning, Orito, Shinji, and the others begin training. Orito follows me through basic taijutsu moves, and after an hour I tell him to rest, hand him water and wipe his sweat. He immediately senses something is wrong. I'm a good teacher but not normally this considerate. Handing water? Fine, but wiping sweat usually means I'll at most offer a towel. I smile and tell him I think he has a lot of untapped potential. He breaks out a fresh layer of cold sweat over the hot sweat I just wiped off and insists no, his potential has already been completely unleashed by his sensei. I shake my head and tell him he still underestimates himself. How about this, I say. When he fights Goro, every time he gets hit he does one extra problem during break. I'm sure this will completely unleash his potential, and even if it doesn't, more problems will improve his theoretical scores. Orito tries to feign concern for me. What if he gets hit hundreds of times? He doesn't mind, but he worries I'll exhaust myself making problems. Cornered like this, his speaking skills actually improve. I tell him I'm happy he worries about his sensei's health, and just as he thinks he's escaping, I pull out a stack of test papers, smiling. I guessed he was such a good child, so I prepared plenty. If it's not enough, I can have a shadow clone make more. He shakes his head violently. Enough. Even under bright sunlight and my warm smile, he feels a chill run from his soles to his head. Since the direct approach failed, he decides on a roundabout one. If he can't avoid the problems, he'll do fewer of them. He winks at Goro and signals him to go easy. Goro flashes his sparkling white teeth and gives a thumbs up. Then I add the second rule. If Goro doesn't hit Orito even once he does 50 problems, for every hit he does one less, up to a maximum reduction of 40. Goro's expression snaps. This time the thumbs up he gives Orito is a serious one. Orito wails at him not to do this. Goro declares that for youth he must exert full strength to minimize problems. Orito doesn't want problems. Goro doesn't either. In the fight, Goro strikes hard, unleashing 120% of his speed. Orito, who also doesn't want problems, finds a burst of potential after being hit a dozen times. His movements sharpen. I watch them both improve rapidly and nod. There really was a lot of untapped potential. When both run out of stamina, the fight ends. Orito was hit more than 30 times and earned that many problems. Goro only a dozen or so. I think the effect is excellent. At this rate, within 2 months, Hotaru will no longer be their match. It's a pity Nono Ren doesn't have strong talent, I think. If I had taken her as a disciple too, motivating Orito would be trivial. For the sake of a low profile, I don't want to train non-disciples. There's an even better candidate, Hakase Kentaro, but he made Chunin 2 years ago, so he's unlikely to become my student. His talent, if he did, would motivate both Orito and Goro. I stay with them through lunch, leave 2 shadow clones, and send my main body to Lord Third's house to begin tutoring. Because it's working hours, I don't see Lord Third, only a middle-aged woman with a single ponytail. His wife, Tsuruta Byakko. I greet her as Lady Byakko. She recognizes me from her husband's description, and she points me toward the backyard, telling me Asuro is waiting, that he's a bit rebellious, and please bear with him. If he can't be disciplined at all, tell her. I reply with a smile that I have some special techniques for rebellious students and head out to the yard. There I find a 9-year-old lying lazily against a tree with a blade of grass in his mouth, looking utterly bored. Appraisal. Name: Saruta Asuro. Chakra 1100. Potential A+. I shake my head inwardly. If it were S, I might have been tempted, but A+ is a tier below. Asuro spits out the grass without standing, and asks directly if I'm the Kazami Mugetsu who's supposed to teach him. Before I can answer, he adds that if I can't make him surpass the old man, meaning the third shogun, I might as well leave. It's pointless. He clearly wants to gain the upper hand with this opening threat. Before he can wait for the answer, I shake my head and say of course not. Then just leave, he replies, and lies back down, confident I won't. All right, I say. I'll go tell Lady Byako you don't need a tutor, and I turn. His mind floods with question marks. What the hell? Why isn't he following the script? Shouldn't I be trying to persuade him not to mess around? As I actually walk toward the door, he flips up like a carp and shouts at me to hold on. If the teacher leaves before classes even start, he'll get a scolding from his mother. You told me to leave and now to stay, I say with a half smile. That makes things very difficult for me. Asuro tries a compromise. He'll lower his demands and I have to be obedient to him during class. I shake my head. No, high demands aren't your problem. It's my own lack of ability. I can't meet your demands. So I'd better leave. I turn again. All right, he snaps. You don't have to listen to me. Just don't go yet. Asuro, completely exasperated, gives up. So, can we start class now? I ask with a chuckle. With rebellious students like him, you have to be even more rebellious. Fighting magic with magic. Fine, he says. What do you want to teach? He doesn't really refuse being taught. He just doesn't want his old father's arrangements. I look around and say the backyard isn't convenient. Let's train outside. I tell Byako briefly, take Asuro to a small forest with a river and start with tree climbing to test his chakra control. Easy, he brags, and scrambles up the trunk using only hands and feet, like a monkey, no chakra at all. Then crows about how fast he climbed. Lord Third, watching through a crystal ball, falls silent and rubs his forehead. Even his own old nickname was Monkey, but he never pulled anything like this. I don't get angry. I praise Asuro's limb strength. Then I find a slender sapling, strip off its branches, and pour oil down its trunk, smiling as I tell him that was just a warm-up. Let's start real tree climbing. His mouth twitches. Even the best climber can't shinny up a slit pole with bare hands. It's okay if you can't, I say lightly. Admitting your shortcomings is also a sign of courage. Who said I can't climb it? He snaps, and imbues his feet with chakra immediately, walking step by step up to the top. Your control is quite good, I nod. Then I take him to the river. If he can stand on water for 10 minutes without falling, I tell him. From now on he can train whatever he wants. His eyes brighten. He thinks he's just been handed a weakness. It's only 20 meters wide. Easy. He strolls out onto the surface muttering about how controlling his old father is when he's already a ninja, and he's already looking forward to getting home and telling Lord Third that his tutor has set him free. Suddenly the water under him turns turbulent. Water release. Water dragon bullet technique, I call out on the bank, and a roiling dragon of water churns through the river, hurling waves. He almost loses footing and shouts at me what I'm doing. I tell him I'm helping him simulate a battle scenario. In a real fight, the river won't be calm. Incidentally, I'm also practicing water release. Great environment here. And of course, if he feels he can't do it, I can stop. Admitting your shortcomings is also a sign of wisdom. He swallows whatever protest he was about to spit out. He wants to prove he doesn't need a tutor, so he certainly can't admit he can't do it. He focuses on his chakra, doesn't fall for 5 minutes, gets pulled out when he finally slips. It seems your control still needs improvement, I say regretfully. No free training yet. If I hadn't interfered, he argues, he wouldn't have fallen. Do your enemies not use ninjutsu on you, I say calmly. Fine, he growls, again. This time you last 7 minutes, then 7.5, and finally, as the sun is setting, the full 10. He shouts in triumph, immediately loses chakra control, falls in, and swallows a mouthful of river. I pull him out, water streaming down his face and glowing with excitement. So from now on I can train whatever I want, he says. Who told you that? I ask with a strange expression. His smile freezes. Didn't you say if I lasted 10 minutes I could train freely? Yes, I did. I nod. But I said this time, meaning his very first attempt, and he didn't succeed on the first attempt, did he? He thinks back. It was true. What had he been grinding himself for? Physical exhaustion plus emotional blow almost rolls his eyes back. He's nearly fainted by his rebellious teacher. Lord Third, watching from time to time via crystal ball, strokes his beard and concludes, my teaching is formidable. During that afternoon, Asuro's footwork and chakra control both received a workout. He himself silently vows retaliation tomorrow. He felt he'd been messed with all afternoon. After the tutoring, I don't return to the Southern Mirror Forest, but go to the house in the main district. I stir-fry 2 quick dishes for dinner, then go out for a walk, because friendship doesn't find its way to you while you stay indoors. I walk for a while and eventually run into Minoru and Karain in a nearby park, sitting on a bench chatting in the evening breeze. Minoru greets me and asks if I'm out for a walk too. I nod, sit on the next chair, and tell them I just finished dinner and am walking to help with digestion. Karain asks, curious whether it's true I'm a Ninja Academy teacher. No one in her circle of friends is, and I confirm I just started this year. Minoru looks surprised. If I started this year and already led a strong class, that's impressive. Karain gives him a confused look, and Minoru explains that the Sandaime himself praised my teaching in the office yesterday, and even wanted to hire me as a tutor for his family. Earning such praise after only a year, my teaching must be outstanding. Karain is surprised too. She's generally indifferent to Lord Third but respects his judgment. I deflect modestly, saying it's also because the students are diligent, and then turn the compliment back. Minoru Jonin is truly impressive, becoming a Jonin so young, already an important force in the village. Karain laughs heartily that Minoru is the strongest, then proudly reminds me that she's a Jonin too. I show a surprised expression, then praise Uzushio Jonin as very impressive. She decides I'm more and more pleasing to her eye, and thinks to herself that if her good sister Kagamiya Mikoko weren't already married, she would have introduced her to me. Look, a man as handsome as Minoru and capable enough to earn the Sandaime's praise. We chat a while and I take my leave. It's not good to hang around too long when a young couple is out walking. I need to be mindful of moderation and slowly build the persona. The next day I train Oreto and Goro until noon, then head to Lord Third's for the afternoon. I take Isuro to yesterday's riverside. I'm too tired, he declares immediately, leaning back against the tree like he's ready to sleep. He has secretly decided that no matter how I provoke him, he won't budge. Want to sleep, I say, smiling gently. My smile is softer than his old father's, but he senses a bad premonition. Yes, he answers stubbornly. I didn't sleep well last night. To his surprise, I nod and agree. The sun is just right today. The breeze is gentle. Indeed, a good day for sleeping. Then I stretch, lean against the tree, and remark in a relaxed tone that being a tutor is really nice. You lie down and sleep, and when you wake up, you've earned 100,000 ryo. I close my eyes. Wait, he says immediately, his eyes widening. 100,000 ryo? Why are you making so much noise? I don't open my eyes. Are you sleeping or not? Don't sleep yet, he shakes me by the shoulder. What else could it be? I open my eyes and say with a straight face. Of course it's the money for teaching you. Do you think I work for free? Even the shogun pays a tutor. My fees are very high. 25,000 ryo an hour, teaching 4 hours a day. Of course it's 100,000. Is your mouth made of gold? He sputters. He knows his monthly school allowance was only 50,000 ryo, and that was considered generous. Yet I apparently earn an entire month of his allowance in 2 hours. Go ask at the academy about the name Kazami Mugetsu, I tell him calmly, and you'll know if it's worth it. Why haven't I heard of you then? He argues, feeling tricked. Because I joined after you graduated, I say, closing my eyes to sleep again. Don't sleep. Let's train, he shouts, panicked at the idea of wasting the money. Weren't you tired? I ask, smiling again. He realizes he's been tricked. I hadn't slept at all. But now he has no choice. This is a 25,000 ryo tutor. I'm well rested, he mutters darkly. Let's start. He also plans to complain to his mother about hiring such an expensive waste of money, especially since other jonin teachers exist. Today we continue chakra control. 15 minutes on the water. Same drill as yesterday. He fights not to fall. I use water release from the bank to interfere. Where yesterday his motivation was to spite his father, today it's my ridiculous fee. At dinner he complains to Baiwako about the 25,000 ryo an hour tutor, calling it a waste. Baiwako is shocked too. That's equivalent to a single person clearing a B-rank mission in 4 hours. Lord Third, stunned, then laughs and corrects him. Kazami's fee is 2,000 ryo an hour. Where did he hear 25,000? Asuro's face falls. He's been played. He roars internally, damn you Kazami Mugetsu, then channels his grief into appetite and eats ravenously, vowing not to fall for my tricks next week. Monday morning, Class 1 Grade 1 classroom. Only half the students are in yet. Kota drops Izuo into a headlock and growls at him that he dares to ask for a girl introduction when he pretended to do badly on the last exam, but ended up scoring well. Is it fun messing with your brother? Izuo cries innocence, swearing it was an accident and he only scored 5 points above Kota anyway. Kota lets go but warns that introducing a girl would be difficult. His annoying cousin has recently told Miho some of his unspeakable secrets, and he can't face her right now. How can there be such a treacherous evil villain? Izuo exclaims indignantly. You're exaggerating, Aiko cuts in from the side. And why do you need to meet a girl? Am I not a girl? Izuo and Kota look at each other in silence, and Izuo finally says, Aiko, this is hard to explain, just know we are brothers. If she hadn't spoken up, Izuo would genuinely have forgotten Aiko as a girl. No girl stands on a desk and shouts at the whole class. Her behavior is more masculine than theirs, so he doesn't register her as one. Just then I walk in and Aiko asks me directly whether I think she looks like a girl. I smile and nod, of course, and a very cute girl at that. Setting aside her words and actions, little Aiko is indeed a cute girl. She beams and makes a face at Koda and Izuo, who stare back speechless, wondering what kind of girl asks such a question, and then pulls faces about the answer. Soon the morning ninjutsu theory class ends. Lecture completed, evaluation A, reward demonic illusion, tree binding death. The learning, memory, and usage of a B-rank genjutsu settles into my mind. Another genjutsu. Now I have 2 to give Shinji. This one and the demonic illusion hell viewing technique I'd obtained earlier. Tree binding death entangles the opponent in illusory trees so the body can't move while the mind stays clear, usually used for interrogation. Hell viewing forces the opponent to see the worst scene in their heart. There's no class in the afternoon, but class 6 grade 4's teacher asks me to substitute. In that class I spot 2 more named faces from the original work. Name, Shinotani Genta, potential B+. Name, Ibisuke, potential B-. Unfortunately, their talent isn't high. Grade 4 is about to graduate, so I mainly focus on clone technique, as that's what gets tested for graduation. The students murmur that it's true what they say. This Kazami-sensei is really good at teaching, and one of them sighs that it's only a shame I apparently teach only one grade 1 class. Having systematically studied how to be a teacher, with the professor's skill, with a head full of ninja knowledge, the quality gap between me and an ordinary Chunin teacher is now plainly visible. Their praise doesn't make me complacent, because a large part of the gap is that the academy's teaching environment is distorted. What kind of ninja comes to the academy to teach? A teacher's salary is enough to live comfortably in Keida, but it's woefully short of funding a real ninja's training and growth. So academy teachers are generally mediocre and lacking ambition. If they had ambition, they'd be running missions and training hard, not teaching. Unless they have a strong sense of responsibility, why would they actually study teaching? Keida's upper ranks must know this, which is why squad leaders exist. Students get small group re-education after graduation. That has little to do with me though. I'm a small teacher, I can only ensure my own quality. Lecture completed. Evaluation A, reward fire release, Great Fireball technique. I seem to have a real connection with Great Fireball. This is the 3rd time I've obtained it. Feeling cultivation memories pour in, I sense my Great Fireball has reached the system's proficient level. After school, I meet my disciples at the usual training ground. Orito comes running up to me, clasps his hands, bows, and begs, "Mutsuki-sensei, this is a once-in-a-lifetime request, please. You must agree." "You haven't even stated your request," I reply. "How can I agree?" "I want to ask you to teach me a powerful fire-release ninjutsu, so I can win 1st place in the youth ninjutsu competition." He participated in it before and thought his Great Fireball was enough for 1st, but he ran into the super genius Kentaro and lost the top spot. Recently, he saw the competition advertised again and decided to invite Kentaro for a rematch. He feels unsure though. Great Dragonfire lacks visual impact, and his Great Fireball, written as Great Fireball but read as a small fireball, is even worse. He believes in my strength. Then 3 pop-ups appear. Disciple Kagamiya Orito has set a cultivation mission. Cultivation mission. Win 1st place in the youth ninjutsu competition. Reward. Determined by mission completion and strength growth during the mission period. I fall into thought at the sudden messages. I hadn't expected the master-disciple system to have cultivation missions. Then why hadn't one appeared before? Even with disciple set missions, once like Orito's desire to get 1st in practical combat should have triggered one. Guess. These missions have many restrictive conditions, probably tied to trust levels and more. Since it's the 1st trigger, I can't determine everything, but one clear requirement is that the disciple needs sufficient desire for the goal. Looking at Orito's eager, expectant eyes, I'm sure of that at least. "Mutsuki-sensei, please agree just this once," he pleads. "After I win, I'll complete every task you give me 2-fold. I'll listen to all your training plans from now on." He still can't forget losing so badly to Kentaro in front of Ren. "All right," I nod, looking helpless. He lights up and shouts that I'm the best sensei in the world. "Save the compliments for after 1st place," I say, tapping his head with 2 fingers. He's been in school for years, he knows what a good sensei looks like. My lectures aren't boring, I'm easy to follow, I treat my students well. What else could I be? "Then what ninjutsu will you teach?" he asks eagerly. "Fire release, Great Fireball technique," I answer. He protests that he already knows Great Fireball. He used it in the last competition and only got 20 points before Kentaro came up with an Earth release. Earth motion that controlled the whole field and took a perfect 30. "Do you want something with great power?" I tell him. "Of the fire release you can currently learn, Great Fireball has the most." Then I walk to the river, form hand signs and call out, "Fire release, Great Fireball Technique. I gather a massive amount of chakra, transform all of it through nature transformation the instant I exhale, and continuously spit out raging fire. The flames form a giant 10-meter fireball. Even at 1.8 meters I look small against it, let alone Orito, Shinji, and Goro, who look even more shocked. Shinji thinks back to the first time he saw me practice Great Fireball at my house. Shocking then, but even more shocking now. He instantly feels my strength is unfathomable, and that I might not even be using full power. This is Great Fireball Technique, Orito stammers. Compared to Shinji's Great Fireball, his own could still count as small. Compared to mine, it's a spark from somewhere. It's so big, Goro sighs. If I encounter such ninjutsu, I need to be faster and stronger. The fireball crashes into the river, evaporates a huge volume of water, sends up white mist that I disperse with wind release. I exhale and smile. Is the power of Great Fireball Technique enough? Enough. He nods like a pecking chick. If he can do a quarter of my size, he can win. Inwardly, of course, I know it was showy. 1,000 points of chakra for one attack, impossible in normal combat, and notoriously bad for actually hitting human-sized targets. In my previous life, someone did a stat count across more than 700 episodes of the original, and found that no matter who used Great Fireball Technique, it never actually hit a humanoid target, which is how it earned the nickname the ninjutsu, that can't hit anyone. Try it, I tell him. He forms the hand signs and exhales fire. Embarrassingly, his fireball is the size of 2 human heads. Goro tries to offer comfort. Even a small one is, and Orito cuts him off mid-spell. Do you know why yours is so different from mine? I ask. He guesses it's because he hasn't mastered it. 3 reasons, I summarize. His chakra control is too poor to properly use the chakra he has. His nature transformation is too poor to transform large amounts of chakra into flame simultaneously. And he hasn't mastered Great Fireball well. I take out a small booklet and hand it to him. Some of my experiences cultivating fire release chakra nature transformation. If he reads, remembers, and practices by it, the nature transformation bottleneck will clear. His foundation is too far behind Shinji's. I basically spent the first month rebuilding it and teaching Great Dragon Fire along the way, so I hadn't given him this manual yet. If not for the sudden mission, I'd have held it for next semester. He can't learn everything at once. A pop-up appears. You gifted your disciple the Fire Release Chakra Nature Transformation Cultivation Manual. Due to your disciple's immense gratitude, you received a great critical hit reward. Fire Release, Searing Migraine, Mastery. I hadn't expected Orito to be so effective, to drop a master-level fire release on me. Searing Migraine isn't an ordinary fire release either. It's a B-rank technique performed by Kakuto's fire attribute mask. Quite powerful, and it combines beautifully with the wind style, pressure damage I'd drawn earlier to produce an instant sea of fire capable of burning down forests. A flood of cultivation memories washes in. For a moment, I have the illusion of being a ninja who quietly cultivated Searing Migraine for 30 years in some unknown corner, mastering only that one technique to effortless control. I'll read it every day. Orito cradles the manual like a treasure. One more thing, I smile. First, train your chakra control. Once he completes basic tree climbing and water walking, the enhanced water walking plan I developed on Asuro will come in handy. He doesn't know what I'm thinking, but remembers the painful weekends and knows it'll probably be extremely tormenting and highly effective. He puffs out his chest and endures it. This time he asked for it himself. I have Orito try tree climbing first. Heida's eastern forest has no shortage of trees. 20-meter trees are everywhere, and even taller ones are abundant. I point out a tall one casually and tell him to concentrate chakra at his feet and climb. He takes a deep breath, shoots upwards, loses control near 10 meters, leaves a footprint, and falls. I jump to catch him. Not at Asuro's level, but passable. He didn't fall after a few steps. There's nothing special to this training, only consistent practice. No techniques to teach. I demonstrate a few times, leave a shadow clone to supervise, and move to Goro, who's training physique. Goro's regimen is the most monotonous of my 3 disciples. Orito can shift to ninjutsu when he gets bored of taijutsu, but Goro does only Kata Whirlwind and physical conditioning. Physical conditioning isn't an overnight matter, and it's a domain where my professor's skill is powerless. It can help Goro learn taijutsu faster and refine it in less time, but it can't accelerate bodybuilding itself. 1 push-up remains the effect of 1 push-up. When I walk up, Goro is doing push-ups with a stone block almost his own size strapped to his back. I ask how Kata Whirlwind is coming along. I want to test the trigger conditions for cultivation missions, and since Goro's trust level is 3, the same as Orito's, he's the best candidate. A bit faster than during the exam, he replies without moving, but still not fast enough. Then he removes the stone, stands, and unleashes a sharper Kata Whirlwind at a wooden stake. His kicks are more decisive, probably something carried over from his fight with Hotaru. Physical training can't produce results this fast. Real physical change takes months. How do you think one improves strength, I ask him, something that makes him look puzzled. By cultivating, of course, he states immediately, baffled at the obviousness. I shake my head. Cultivation is the most important path, yes. But are there other methods? He scratches his head, remembers his improved whirlwind and the practical exams at the academy, and a light goes on. Combat. Exactly, I smile. Combat is also crucial, since it's where practice results transform into real power. The combat I mean isn't the brawls with the Rito. Those weren't real battles. To improve, you must challenge strong opponents and engage in a proper fight. A person gradually comes into Goro's mind. White hair, always wears a mask, famous super genius, Hakase Kintaro, his lifelong rival. Having improved under me, Goro has long held the idea of challenging Kintaro but suppressed it, meaning to wait until he mastered Kata Whirlwind completely first. Now he changes his mind. Would finishing Whirlwind guarantee beating Kintaro? Not necessarily. Would he be afraid of one failure? No. Then why not go fight him? Mutsuki-sensei, I understand, Goro says solemnly. By his drive, he might even go tonight. To my regret, though, no cultivation mission called Defeat Kintaro appears. What other conditions are there? By the original story, Goro at this point should have a strong desire to defeat Kintaro. The super genius title, the rival identity, many reasons. Recalling how Orito triggered his mission, I spot a difference. Orito's attitude was pleading. He expressed an absolute need for my help, and the framing was that he could only succeed if I taught him. Does achieving the result require a necessary demand on the teacher? If so, Goro not triggering makes sense. He's only freshly ignited, and isn't thinking in terms of without me outcomes. I don't probe. I'll wait until Goro loses to Kintaro, then act, letting the defeated disciple feel his teacher's warmth. After training, I go to the main district. After dinner, I head to the park where I first met Minoru and Karain. I catch them there again. People in the area seem to prefer this park. Karain remembers something she'd meant to ask, whether Lord Third asked me to be a tutor, and whether I agreed. I nod. She'd heard the boy is rebellious, and doesn't even listen to his father. Will he listen to me? I smile and tell them how I've been training Asuro. Whatever Asuro himself felt, Karain finds it hilarious, especially when the boy tried to slack off the next day only to be tricked into training until exhaustion. She exclaims that the clever third shogun has a son this foolish. Minoru is also surprised, not so much at the tactics as at my ability to make students who don't want to learn cooperate anyway. I don't only talk about myself, I ask them about their own recent things, and the tone of the conversation is very harmonious. Friendship, I think, will come naturally after a few more conversations like this, and then I can show my interest in sealing technique and cursed seals, without seeming too pointed. At Kintaro's house that night, the exchange unfolds without me. You're here. I'm here. You shouldn't have come. I'm already here. Get out. It's bad enough you barged into my house, but then you rushed into the bathroom. Goro, what are you trying to do? Even Kintaro, usually cool, can't hold back when he looks at Goro, who has infiltrated the bathroom, with a frantic expression. Of course, Goro declares, I'm here for a battle full of youth and passion, raising an arm and flashing a thumbs up at a Kintaro covered in soap suds. If it weren't for the suds, Kintaro would have already landed a flying kick in his irritatingly smug face. Who rushes into someone's bathroom at night to challenge them to a duel? Even if we're going to fight, at least wait until I finished my bath, Kintaro retorts. As expected of my rival, you've readily accepted the challenge. Goro beams, sparkling white teeth dazzling under the light. I'll wait for you outside. Kintaro rubs his forehead and wonders whether his father misjudged Goro back then. The man believed Goro might one day become even stronger than him and be a good opponent. If he wants to fight, so be it. It will be good to let him see the gap. Kintaro washes, dresses, and comes outside. Let's decide this now, Goro strikes a pose and shouts. Are we competing in taijutsu this time? Kintaro asks. Because Goro has challenged him in various formats since first grade. Not just fighting, sometimes shuriken throwing. No, Goro shakes his head seriously. Treat this as a formal battle at full strength. Are you sure? Kintaro doubts he'd have any chance to resist. Chunin for 2 years versus an academy student. Absolutely sure, Goro grins. Then be careful. Kintaro pulls 4 shuriken and sends them flying. Goro dodges, but Kintaro has already subtly closed in and punches. Kata Whirlwind, Goro calls. His spinning kick collides with Kintaro's fist. Both retreat a few steps. Kintaro's eyes narrow in surprise. Goro's reaction and counterspeed are unexpectedly fast. His kicking speed has noticeably improved since Goro's last taijutsu challenge 2 months ago. How about it, Kintaro? I've gotten much stronger, Goro laughs. I hope you can still smile after this. Kintaro's eyes sharpen. He forms hand signs, creates 4 shadow clones. The clones perform clone technique to generate dozens of illusions. So many Kentaros, Goro is dumbfounded. They charge, Goro uses Kata Whirlwind and kicks down a dozen, but they're illusions. The shadow clone Kentaro sees the chance. As Goro struggles to cope, a hand emerges from the ground and grabs his foot. Earth release. Headhunter Jutsu. Goro feels himself plummet. By the time he reacts, only his head is above ground. The battle is over, Kentaro says, squatting next to the exposed head. Kentaro, as expected of the rival I pursue. You're truly strong, Goro exclaims. Against Hotaru, he could still trade, losing only because of pale side-eye perception. Against Kentaro, after the initial taijutsu exchange, he fell rapidly into disadvantage and was crushed. If you know I'm strong, train more and come find me again. At least graduate first, Kentaro says bluntly. Okay, I'll come find you again when I get stronger. Goro laughs loudly. Kentaro feels Goro has selective hearing. Do not ignore the latter part. Too lazy to check, he releases Goro and goes home. Goro dusts himself off, watches Kentaro's retreating back, clenches his fists. I still need to get stronger and stronger. The full-strength fight broadened his horizons. To become the strongest, he has a long way to go. Tomorrow, he decides he'll ask Mutsuki-sensei for an even stricter training plan. The next day in ninjutsu class, I explain the key points of clone technique after covering hand signs and chakra guidance, and touch on three-body technique. Even with only 3 ninjutsu to study, there's plenty of theory around them. Kazami-sensei, Koda asks, since the main goal of clone technique is to deceive enemies, can I combine it with transformation technique to make a more convincing illusion? I think seriously and realize yes. In the original works, someone even developed an upgraded version. That was a certain harem jutsu that combined clone, deception, and transformation perfectly. And because it involved shadow clones, it was considered an upgrade. You can try, I encourage Koda. The reason we have all these ready-made ninjutsu is because previous generations developed them with effort. However, I warn him, don't use it in real combat until it's perfected. If he creates the harem jutsu, fine. But if he creates something bizarre, I'm worried he'll get beaten up. He nods and plans to discuss it with his good buddies Izuo and Eiko. Combining the wisdom of the class's 3 top students, they're sure to develop something surprising. Class dismissed. Lecture complete. Evaluation A. Reward Earth Release. Earth Flow Wall. Finally Earth Release. Although Earth Flow Wall isn't particularly strong, the system throws in nature transformation with it. I've now mastered all 5 basic nature transformations. After school, on the way to the training ground, I unexpectedly run into Goro. My guess was confirmed, though still somewhat unexpected. Disciple made a Goro training mission set. Training mission, obtain a training plan that can enhance strength. Reward, depends on mission completion. My mood is subtle reading it. I had thought the mission would be to defeat Kentaro, and it turned out to be about a plan. Can this even be called a training mission? I think through cause and effect and form a conjecture. The disciple's own thoughts determine the content. Orito felt he couldn't secure first with his current strength, and the mission was first place. When Orito learned the competition was being held again, there were only 2 weeks until it started, so he believed only with my help could he win. Urgency plus dependence. Goro wants to defeat Kentaro but isn't in a rush. Doesn't think he absolutely needs me for it. Having only known me a month, he feels uncomfortable troubling me too much. Combine that and his mission becomes the oddly shaped one I'm reading. Teacher, I'll trouble you with the training plan, Goro says gratefully. There's no trouble at all, I reply, patting his head. Seeing you so eager to become stronger makes me happy, because for a teacher, a disciple becoming stronger is the best reward. That isn't acting, it's genuine. Hearing it again, Goro feels something different in his heart. Perhaps he should rely on me more. The 2 of us head to the training ground together. Orito has almost finished tree climbing and is about to start water walking. Goro is still on physique. Shinji is working on genjutsu with my shadow clone. My main body works on Goro's mission, building a new plan. It isn't something I can slap together. I can't just multiply his volume because he wants to be stronger. I have to consider his body's endurance. As dusk falls, everyone finishes their training and I finish the plan. I call Goro aside and hand it to him. Training mission complete. Rewards obtained. Training Elixir X20. Training Elixir. Effectively relieves fatigue, restores the body, and eliminates hidden injuries. Settled directly, and the rewards are better than I imagined. This mission was too simple. I'd have been content with any chakra bonus. 20 elixirs is a pleasant surprise. It makes me even more eager to see what Orito's completion yields, since his mission is much more troublesome. My mind stirs. I pretend to fish through my ninja tool pouch, pull a training elixir out of my system space, and hand it to Goro. This is for you to eat. Go on, I say with a smile. Of my 3 disciples, he's the one who needs it most. His intensity is too high. Thank you, teacher. What is this? He takes the pill and asks. It's something good for you. Just eat it, I tell him. Out of trust in me, he swallows it. The moment it goes down, a warmth spreads through his body. A warm current flows through his limbs. Fatigue is swept away. and he's instantly invigorated. This must be a very expensive elixir, he guesses. The pill is amazing, and he feels much lighter. Elixirs are special function medicines made through specific processes from specific materials. The cheap and common ones are military rations pills, which restore some chakra. The more specialized, the more costly. He's sure the pill he just ate wasn't cheap. You've already eaten it. Don't think about it too much, I don't tell him. I also don't actually know the price, since it's a system product, and I'm not sure if Kata even sells this kind. Besides, he already has a vague idea. A pop-up. You gifted a training elixir to your disciple. Due to your disciple's immense gratitude, you received a great critical reward. 8 inner gates. First 3 gates. Cultivation memories for the gates pour in. I can feel the restrictions inside my body that I can open. Though only the first 3, I'm very satisfied. With the memory of the technique, I can push further if I keep cultivating. However, I won't. Other uses of my time yield more return. Goro only has ordinary ninjutsu talent, but his taijutsu talent isn't weak. Both trained for decades, both opened the gate of death, but Goro was able to severely injure Sage Pathmarrow, while his father Maeda Doji didn't manage to take down all 7 blade wielders of Mist. Opening only the first 3 is right for me anyway. They're the ones with the least bodily toll. Beyond the third, the demands on physical strength spike. Teacher, I will definitely become the strongest, Goro says, deeply moved, tears streaming. To let him eat the expensive pill without a burden, I wasn't even willing to tell him what it was. If he hadn't noticed the effect himself, I might have told him it was candy. I hand him a handkerchief and smile gently. You will become the strongest, I believe it. Even without my help, he would reach the pinnacle of taijutsu through his own effort. I believe this world's Goro will go even further. My trust must have jumped, I think, as I watch him go. I wonder when a disciple of mine will hit trust level 4. Today I don't go to the main district to bump into Minoru and Karain by chance. I stay in the southern Mirror Forest. It's been over a month since the transmigration. Even though I've had the idea to develop the spiral orb along the way, I haven't had time. Recently I've read many books on sealing technique and cursed seals, and they'll take some time to absorb. I want to develop the spiral orb during this window as well. With the detailed process from the original and my shape transformation mastery, it shouldn't be hard. The main purpose isn't combat, it's for other applications. Orito Nai, when are we going to start nature transformation training? Orito asks while pacing back and forth on the small river. Lately I've been reading the handbook you gave me every night. I really want to try. Climbing trees and walking on water every day is really boring. The nature transformation handbook has genuinely inspired him, and he instantly feels his fire release is about to improve. Do you find walking on water boring? Have you almost finished? I ask with a slight smile. He nods. He can already jog on the water. Alright then, I'll test your level and help make walking a bit more interesting, I say, forming hand signs. Water release. Water dragon bullet technique. A massive dragon coils through the river, stirring it turbulent and hurling waves. Orito stumbles and crashes in, gulping a mouthful. I pull him out laughing. See, you still haven't perfected the training. Teacher, how could I withstand you suddenly pulling a stunt like that, he complains. There's a classmate and a junior from his clan watching. He still wants to save face. Then try again. I smile. Walking on water tests continuous chakra output. With the water dragon interfering in waves to dodge, maintaining stable output shows real chakra control. Orito is stubborn, but his skill isn't. He falls in again within minutes. The shoes I'm wearing today don't fit. He spits out river water, placing them on the bank and going barefoot. I smile and say nothing. A short while later, he's in the water again. Oh dear, I must have stayed up too late reading yesterday. No wonder I'm making so many mistakes. He stretches his limbs, rolls his neck, pushes up his sleeves, and says with a serious face that now he's going to get serious. Splash. Another river dive. I pull him out. His eyes are blank, face empty, and he says nothing more. Orito ni, it's okay, I know you're just trying to learn how to swim, Shinji, you go on. I'll be fine by myself for a bit. Do you feel your performance was too poor? I squat down beside him, not looking, gazing into the distance. As the saying goes, without comparison there's no harm. Where Orito hasn't even started control training, Shinji has already begun, and is rocketing along. He skipped tree climbing from the start, and water walking was easy for him, lasting long on the surface even under my interference. With the clan junior performing like that, Oreo keeps being stubborn. He admits he might not be as good as Shinji, but shouldn't be that far behind. Actually, last weekend afternoon I left because I was tutoring at the Shogun's house I mentioned. The Shogun has a younger son. You should know him. Saruta Asuro, only a year older than you. Orito nods. He does know him. When he did his water walking, I also interfered with Water Dragon Bullet. He fell into the water at least dozens of times that afternoon, and finally on his last attempt lasted for 5 minutes. Asuro, Orito blinks. He hadn't expected a school honor student like Asuro to be so miserable and still persevere all afternoon under that kind of pressure. He gains a new respect. He hadn't realized Asuro had that kind of perseverance when they knew each other. Teacher, I understand now. I'm rested. Let's start training, he says spiritedly. If Asuro could persevere, why can't he? His goal is to defeat Kintaro in front of Ren and take first place. Eat something before you train. I hand him a portion of dango I bought earlier. Okay, thanks, teacher. He shouts energetically, finishes the dango, and walks back into the river. A pop-up. You gifted your disciple Orito dango. Because your disciple was extremely grateful, the reward was a critical hit, granting you the skill chef. Chef, the dishes you create are so delicious they can cause hallucinations. It actually popped a skill, and a life skill one at that, I think. A little surprised. Disciple rewards can be random. Goro somehow yielded water-nature transformation mastery, so I can't guess why Orito dropped a chef skill. It doesn't stop me from being happy. From the description, the skill is powerful. Being a good cook is a huge bonus. If I'd had this skill earlier, I could have pretended my cooking gear at home was broken, gone to Minoru's, shown off my skills, and maybe Kirain and Minoru would have actively befriended me. I could also quickly increase my disciples' favorability. Who wouldn't like a teacher with top-notch teaching and exceptional cooking? After training, I returned to the main district early to test how delicious the new skill's food really is. I choose 2 dishes, egg fried rice and fried tempura. I've cooked egg fried rice before. I like egg dishes, but I've never made tempura. The moment I pick up an egg, I feel a subtle enhancement. The steps look the same as before, but everything is just right. When the fried rice is done, the grains are distinct and golden, subtly glowing, and I wonder if I accidentally added fluorescent powder. I take a spoonful and taste it. The tenderness of egg, the elasticity of rice, the freshness of chopped green onion. Everything bursts in my mouth. I've never eaten fried rice this good. For a moment, I vaguely see a strong rooster running and flying through the grass, so free and so exhilarating. It really is so delicious it causes hallucinations. I shake my head and snap out of it. I switch to a frying pan for tempura. I prepare the batter, heat oil, coat the shrimp, and lower them in. The coating soon changes color and a unique frying aroma fills the kitchen and drifts outward. I scoop the tempura out and bring the plate to the table. Just as I'm about to taste the first piece, a knock sounds at the door. Next door, Kirain, who's preparing dinner, suddenly smells something enticing. Minoru, do you smell anything? I smell it, he nods. A very enticing fried aroma. She sniffs harder. What a tempting scent. How exactly is it made? She has fried things like tempura before, but has never produced an aroma that on smell alone conjures the perfect golden crispy appearance. I have to go see, she says, and walks outside. She traces the smell and finds the source is the house right of Minoru's. Hey, isn't this Kazami's house? Minoru, come out. If she remembers correctly, this is the Ninja Academy teacher Kazami Magetsu's place. Though they'd only known each other a few days, I've left her a deep impression. Minoru confirms yes. Let's go visit the neighbors. She pulls him over and knocks. I set the shrimp in a bowl, put down my chopsticks, and open the door. Kirain immediately asks if I'm making dinner, and Minoru apologizes for the intrusion upon seeing my apron. It's fine. I smile. I've just finished and was about to eat. You both came at the perfect time. I invite them in. Kirain follows the aroma straight to the table, sees the slightly golden tempura. Eyes lighting up. This is the smell. Then she notices the aroma of fried rice too. Kazami, you're a hidden chef. I could smell the tempura from next door, she praises. I pour them water and say I'm not much of a chef. I just cook often because I'm often alone. Try them. I just made them. I set out cutlery. Can we? She says, staring at the tempura. It looks like you haven't eaten yet. I'm starting now. I smile and pick up a piece. Thank you, Kazami, Minoru says. I'm going to eat, Kirain declares with great ceremony, then puts a steaming piece in her mouth. As she bites through the crispy layer, the incredibly tender shrimp inside widens her eyes. Something more magical happens. She seems in a daze to arrive in the ocean, surrounded by a mysterious, magnificent blue world. And she's a free, carefree fish, swimming happily all day long. She snaps back, almost thinking she was caught in a genjutsu, then considers. No one present could have cast one on her. Mutsuki, how did you make this tempura? You didn't add any strange mushrooms, did you? She asks, puzzled. She's heard of ninja who picked mushrooms in the summer forest and then ended up at Keita Hospital still saying they had too many branches and leaves and asking for a trim. No, it's just like this and like that. I sketched the process briefly. Just then she notices Minoru seems to have taken one bite of the fried rice and hasn't said much. She pats him. Minoru, what's wrong? Eating wild vegetables, he replies instinctively. Where are there wild vegetables here? After eating the fried rice, I seemed in a daze to have transformed into a wild chicken living in the mountains, he explains. She looks at the fried rice, golden, plump, emitting a golden glow. Because she'd been focused on the tempura, she only now realizes the fried rice seems to be glowing. This is the best fried rice I've ever eaten, Minoru says, scooping up more.